So hello everyone. Welcome if you are new to the channel, and welcome back if you love me. We're here for a special edition of Yule readings. So I've already and literally just wrapped up pre-shuffling different piles with a bunch of different decks to save on some time, because I would want to give more time to the Q&A at the end. If people want to have personal questions answered. And I pulled out quite a few decks. Okay, I had pulled out my Chakra Insight Oracle to see what is going on and healing. I pulled out my Icarus Tarot. It's a deck of major arcana to see what the milestone energy is. I pulled out my Harrow cards for the energy surrounding you. And then I used my hand-drawn deck to clarify how that energy surrounding you is actually affecting you, okay, in your energy. And then I used my Celtic Tarot to get some insight on the major energy that you needed insight to with concerning you and how it's affecting you, right? What's going on in your outer, to actually get some insight into what that looks like. And then I further clarified it with the Forest of Enchantment Tarot. Okay. So I've used a lot of different decks. Oh, and then I used Sacred Rebels for guidance. Okay. So I got guidance for everybody as well. Okay. So we've got what's healing, we've got milestone energy, we've got what is surrounding you, how that is affecting you, and essentially what that looks like, right? With some guidance. So I'm going to pull pineapple charms for each of the messages as I go through them. Okay, those I'm going to actually pull live. I gave Pineapple Charming a really, really good shake off camera because he's loud. But none of the charms are going to go back in as we do the readings. All right, so these, take which pile you resonate to regardless. Know that for those who need charms, the charms will be there so that you know either that it most definitely pertains to you, or who it is in regards to, right? That it might be pertaining about that you may or may not have put, two and two together. Because sometimes we want it to fit a certain person or a certain situation, but it's in our highest good to really focus on a different situation. So that's what the charms are going to be for, okay? And we're going to get into it. So pile 1 is going to be my Labradorite. Okay. Pile 1 is Labradorite. Pile 2 is Golden Healer. And pile 3 is Merlinite. Okay. So those are the 3 stones, the 3 crystal angels for each of the piles. Okay. So Labradorite is pile 1. Golden Healer is pile 2. And Merlinite is pile 3. There will be timestamps after the live is done. All right, so if you want to go back and view your reading, you can do that. Okay. And let me timestamp here. We're going to start with pile 1. Okay, so for those of you who resonate with Labradorite or were drawn to the Labradorite, we're going to get into your energies first. Okay. So pile one. Let's get your charms out. Let's get your charms out. And see what else Spirit wants to mention. Sometimes the charms just straight up have a message of their own. Okay. So pile one. Let me get pile two off to the side real quick. Pile three off to the side real quick. So we could focus on this one. All right. So we've got the King of Hearts. So you may have stronger significant water placements. Okay. Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. We've also got a magic carpet. So Aladdin may be one of your favorite Disney movies. You may also be from the part of the world where these rugs are typically, the mythology is present, right? You might be from that area of the world. Previously known as the Persian Empire. We've also got the White Rabbit. So you may have felt like you've gone down a rabbit hole recently or have been in what might feel like a twilight zone. We've also got La Luna, the Moon card. So could also be Pisces, Cancer, again with the water energy. Could also be significant moon placement with the different astrology charms that came out, okay? Or regardless of the astrology charms, you may be dealing with your moon's energy, right? If one of these is your sun sign, you may be dealing with your moon's energy. We've also got like our protractor ruler type stuff. So you may measure a lot for your profession or deal with exact measurements in general, right? Calculations. And we have a butterfly. So you might feel like you're going through a transformation process right now and or are seeing white butterflies around. All right. For the beads, we've got double Aquarius and Capricorn. All right, so you may have very significant Aquarian placements. You may have more than one major placement in Aquarius, right? Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, you name it. Okay, you might have more than one. You may also have significant Capricorn energy in your chart. It could be your top three, right? Big three, Sun, Moon, Rising. It could also be really relevant to what is going on in this spread, okay? For letters, we've got a blue W. So your name could be Walter, right? Something like that. Wilson, first, middle, last name could begin with a W. We've also got white Y, S, and L. Okay, so we do have blue, which doesn't have to, but could indicate male gender. And white is yang, so masculine dominant energy. WYSL. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I also literally got the word sly. So if you were dealing with a sly person or someone who thought that they were slick, or if that is your energy and you thought you could get away with something, I feel like that's going to be addressed, especially if you are dealing with someone who thinks they're getting away with something, right? Sly energy. Let's see. Yeah, any names with W, Y, S, or L. WY is also Wyoming, so that might be significant. I don't know why. Also, just reminded me of Salt Lake too, so potentially Utah. I don't know. All right, so those are the charms and beads for pile 1. Okay, we're on Labradorite. Now the cards that came out. What's healing is the inner child. Okay. What's healing is the inner child. It's solar plexus work. Keywords are playfulness, lightheartedness, innocence, and wonder. I feel like if you've chosen this pile, if you were drawn to the Labradorite, that you may have lost sight of the real beauty in life, that maybe it's become a lot of work, right? Drudgery type energy. That relationships are work, you know, job is work, family is work, like everything is work, and maybe lost that sense of play and excitement. That curiosity about how things unfold. So you may definitely be locked in a very like routine type thing where the excitement from life is gone and you're just kind of living repeats of every day over again. So when we get milestone energy, this is from the Icarus Tarot, we got ritual and the star. So again, Aquarian energy, Uranian energy. Ritual is about routine, right? Because we have our bedtime ritual. We have our, you know, makeup removing ritual. We have our ritual before we get up for work in the morning, right? We get up, we make our coffee in a certain way. We go to the bathroom, we get dressed, you know, we do whatever we do in a particular routine, right? That's ritual. Some people like sports players, right? Athletes, they have a ritual before they go out onto the field, right? Or into the game. You may also need to do some very serious cleansing work. Okay. You may need to take the time and the steps to really heal, right? And it really can depend on what faith you believe in, right? If you're Christian, or if you're more spiritual, or if you're Buddhist, or if you're Muslim, or whatever it is that you hold faith in, right? How you can clear your energy, right? Because the star is about healing, right? How can you see past the chaos, past the drudgery of everyday life, and start to clear out your energy. It could also be a ritual of, I just got like a ritual of defense. So like maybe, and we've talked about this recently, to protect yourself, right? People, the number one reason why people lie is to protect themselves. To protect themselves and or the people that they love. Because even people that manipulate or lie for financial reasons, ultimately it is to protect themselves, right? From dealing with whatever it is that they're afraid of dealing with. And so they lie to get ahead of the game. If you have a ritual, right, when your defenses are up, that you behave in a certain way, it's a certain pattern of behavior, you may need to cleanse that as well. Okay, when you feel like you're under attack, you know, like maybe someone is just giving you like truly beneficial, like constructive criticism, right? Whether it's in relationship or in work, you know, any dynamic ship that you're in, someone is trying to give you constructive criticism so that you can actually improve as a person and see yourself. And maybe your ritual is to get really defensive. Then maybe you start twisting it around on someone. Maybe you start gaslighting. Maybe you start lying. Maybe you start bringing up the past and throwing the past at them, right? Whatever it is that you go through that's kind of predictable, right? When we get home from work too, we have our rituals, right? Maybe when we get home, the first thing we do is take off our shoes, and then we change out of our clothes, and then maybe we go to the fridge and we eat, and then we go and relax and watch a show, right? We have a ritual. It's a routine. I feel like you've got to change up your routine. I think you have to include some kind of fun or creative energy inside your routine, right? At some point, I feel like something's got to give. And if something is not in alignment with that creative play, right, that you're having with your life, that creative play, I think that you should probably create healthy boundaries with it, because that's the other thing about the solar plexus chakra. It creates healthy boundaries. It's confident in its light, right? It's confidence, it's courage, it's authentic, right? This is who I am. This is what I want to do. This is how I create. You know, this is my life. I am literally the creator of my life. And if you have a problem with me being my creator in the way that I do things, then maybe we're just not in alignment, right? Maybe we're just not in alignment. Maybe we have to really accept different energetic space, right? Different energetic space. This also came out with the briar. The tangled briar is the energy around you from the harrow. Okay. And it's about entanglement. It's about energetic entanglement and how that affects your energy. From my hand-drawn deck, we got the demon in the fireplace. And so it brings up these demons in you that want to burn the evidence, that just want to burn it and not face it. It could also be a shadow that wants to keep someone else warm and ignore the evidence or the reality right in front of you, right? That you're dealing with someone's demons, dealing with their insecurities or their fear of failure or their unworthiness, right? You're entangled with someone else's shadows, and you might not realize that being entangled with them is literally bringing up your demons for you to see. Because when they're in their shadow, you get into yours. Okay. I feel like there's some kind of ignoring the problem. And maybe you've gotten so involved in your routine, right, that you don't want to change it, right? People fear this change. You've gotten so comfortable in your shadows, your defense system, that you've entangled yourself with someone else's shadows. And now you might be having a really hard time separating the two, or even getting back in touch with your own light. Like for some people, as soon as they get into a relationship, because they might not be talking to anybody for the longest time, right? They're single, they're not talking to anybody, but it might be a ritual of theirs or a habit that as soon as they end up in a relationship, they have an immediate back burner option. They immediately start looking around for a back burner just in case it doesn't work out. And it's what they do, right? And it's just who they are. Like they can't handle the rejection, right? People whose demons can't handle rejection, they have abandonment moons. As soon as they're put in a position where someone could abandon them or reject them, they have a backup plan to flip it and throw it back at the person. Like, oh, you abandoned me, you rejected me. Well, that's fine. I already got somebody else, right? And they flip it right back. So, I mean, there's some kind of habits here that need to be addressed because they are in shadow and they do need healing. Okay. A major arcana came out from the Celtic Tarot on how to deal with this and what this looks like, and it's Judgment. So this is Scorpionic energy. It's also Sagittarian energy. And I feel like with this card is definitely a past life connection. I don't doubt that at all. It was clarified further with the Tower, the Knight of Cups, or the Seeker of Visions, the Four of Visions, which is the Four of Wands, with the Nine of Swords, the Page of Wands, and the Magician. I feel like, and you could be dealing with a Gemini. We've also got Mars energy here. So Aries, Scorpio again, or your Mars placement or their Mars placement in general. I feel like whatever situation you're in, I think you were genuinely surprised by what a nightmare it turns into. And this may be a repeating pattern, right? This may be a repeating pattern. I think that there is some genuine surprise that something hasn't worked out. Thanks, Numa. Thank you for the beautiful Yule blessings for everyone. I hope it's an awesome Yule too, to be fair. Yeah, I think you were surprised by the nightmare state, right? The Tower with the Nine of Challenges. I don't think you anticipated going into your relationships that the nightmare ends up taking such precedence. And I do think you try to communicate love, right, with the Knight of Cups, to try and reinvent yourself in the relationship. I think there is some sort of compassion or understanding that is given, and or some vulnerability given so that you can be understood to help it all. But I think ultimately you end up having to recreate or manifest a new vision, right? We have the Magician clarifying the Four of Visions. The Four of Wands is how we picture happily ever after. And I think you're constantly reworking that vision because these shadows have not gotten under control. Okay. And I think that's what you need to work on, right? The whole point of Yule is the rebirth of the sun, right? The rebirth of the sun. It is the darkest, longest night of the year. And from this moment forward, it only gets lighter, right? It is the rebirth of the sun. And so I feel like with whatever you're going through, you're rebirthing your own light. This is about casting out your shadows, right? Identifying them, calling them out for what they are, right? Becoming self-aware, and creating a healthy, warm space for yourself, letting go of the denial, right? Letting go of the denial that your wounds are putting you in a very redundant, potentially painful pattern that needs to heal, right? That needs to heal. Numa, I'll respond to your longer comment in just a minute. Okay, once I wrap up with this message, I'm going to read the guidance for them real quick, and then I'll look at your comment. Okay. So diving for light is the guidance card. Okay. Card number 11. All right, so let's read. Let's read a bit. This is Alana Fairchild's books. I love her decks. Okay. So diving for light, it says, how brave you are. You are diving for light. It can be so much simpler to seek light in the heavenly, in that which is blissful, sweet, loving, and kind. To look for the light in that which is dark is an advanced task that only a rebellious and brave heart will attempt. You may not feel that you have taken such a journey by choice, yet you have taken this wise challenge on from deep within your soul. Your innermost being has evoked a situation in your life with the intention that you grow in power, wisdom, and creative juice. It also wants you to experience a bold and fearless trust in life and become further empowered to live it with zest and courage. The Oracle of Diving for Light speaks of a time when you are called into darkness through life circumstances, situations, relationship challenges, or inner struggles that defy clear understanding. The darkness might be a creative block, a sense of being in a void, or feelings of depression, rage, sadness, fear, or anxiety. There may or may not be an obvious cause. The darkness might be generally accepted and socially acknowledged because there is a socially acceptable or obvious reason for it, such as death, divorce, or retrenchment. However, there may be no obvious justification for your experience of darkness. You might not need a quote-unquote reason to be able to accept it. Likewise, you may struggle to find an unconditional acceptance of your experience. Just know that you are actually on track and right where you need to be. Diving for light is a spiritual test and a threshold for all true creative work. We successfully navigate our way through this test and pass the threshold into new creative birth by staying connected to the light of compassion in our own hearts. It is not an easy test, but it is one that you must be ready for. Otherwise, it wouldn't be coming to you now. Just remember, it is the light of the heart that sustains. It exists within us always, even in the darkest depths of unknown terrain. Diving for light. Getting into the self. Okay. It reflects in our outer. And if we don't call it out within ourselves and accept that our inner has reflected in our outer for a reason, if we don't call it out, it gets out of control. The shadow gets out of control. You give it an inch and it takes a mile, you know. I feel like when we get into these dynamic ships with people, whether you want to call them twin flames or divine counterparts, soulmates, right? However you connect with your deep relationships with people. When we realize that all of the painful people in our outer experience are reflections of our inner world in some which way, shape, or form, right? To some capacity. That we're disconnected from our own divinity, because diving for light, the light is the divine, right? The best example that I can give, is my dynamic ship with the person that I considered to be my counterpart. I was reconnecting with myself, right? I was in the middle of my darkness, and his demons were literally exposing my own. We were entangled, right? We were energetically entangled, and our demons were flashing at each other, right? Flashing at each other. He was wildly narcissistic, brilliant to where he was sociopathic. And I was highly empathic, right? Nurturing, martyring to a fault to try and pull him out of his darkness, and only found myself deeper, right? Deeper in my own. We both had abandonment wounds. We both had a fear of failure and not being good enough. And it was manifesting in very authentic ways, right? And I realized that, you know, in the mirror of things, if he's lying to me, how am I lying to myself, right? If he's twisting it around and making it my fault, right, or gaslighting me, how am I twisting things around to make things, you know, spirit's fault or whoever else's fault instead of my own, right? If I'm being betrayed by him, how am I betraying myself? If he's cheating on me, how am I cheating myself being in this dynamic with him? And it hit me one day like lightning. I was like, this doesn't feel good. This isn't what love is. Love does not feel like this. Love is not painful like this. This is not what I want to feel, right? As the creator, right? We've got the magician here. Past life relationships. I said, this is not what I want to act. This is not what I want to create. Like my highest good vision, right? My vision was once happily ever after with him, but who him was really fucking toxic and painful to experience, right? His demons, the unhealed state of things. I was dying inside. So when you're faced with the fact that your shadows are convincing you that suffering is acceptable, when you're looking in the mirror and seeing yourself unhappy or seeing yourself stressed or seeing yourself with no creative spark or inspiration, who taught you that kind of suffering or that lack of creativity? Like, you're an adult now, you don't get to play with life. Like, who taught you that life is drudgery, right? That it's work and it's sufferable, and you only get to be creative and finger paint when you're a kid? Who taught you that it wasn't okay to be yourself, that you need to bend and mold to fit somebody else's expectations of you? Right? You have to look in the mirror and say, okay, well, if I'm lying to myself, it's because I'm telling myself that this is my happily ever after, and I'm actually really fucking sad. And spirit would not want me to be sad. The divine, who loves me unconditionally, would not want me to be sad. So how am I choosing it? I'm betraying myself, right? I'm betraying myself, capital S. My higher self is connected with spirit, right? So when we go diving for our own light, we find our worth in there. We find what we deserve in there. We find the beautiful compassion for ourselves in there. We show ourselves mercy. And we disconnect, right? We tower the nightmare. We let go of the anxiety, the worry. We let go of the shadow. And we create a new vision. We get into a new routine, right? We heal our ritual. We get into a new routine, a new life. Like my routine, my ritual every day when I was with my ex, I would get up with him in the morning and I would make him coffee and roll his cigarettes and make his lunch for work. He would go to work. I would start doing little things around the house, cleaning. I would throw in some laundry, and I would start my creative work. I would start designing things for my Etsy shop or different merch that I was creating. And then my son would get home from school. When my son got home from school, I would help him fix something to eat, and then I would get ready for my counterpart coming home. And when he came home, he would come in, I would fix his glass of whiskey right away while he was changing out of his clothes. He would sit down, he would put his headset on, he would game, and I would sit next to him on the couch while he video gamed until 10, 11 o'clock at night, getting his whiskey for him as he needed it, rolling more cigarettes for him as he needed it, so he could just sit there and relax and not do a goddamn thing, but just enjoy the fact that he was home and not at work anymore. And then when he had enough whiskey for the night, I would tell him that it was, I was getting ready to wrap up, that I was getting tired. And if he wanted his massage, that, we would have to do it now so that, he could get some sleep because he had work the next day. And that's what I would do. I would give him his massage for about an hour. I would get my oils out. I would give him a massage and he would go to bed. And then I'd just lay with him in bed and I would work on my phone some more. I would work on different, cosmic currencies that I was doing at the time. And I would work on different messages that I was getting, or put my headphones in and listen to other readers. And, and that was my time to kind of be in my own energy, where I wasn't doing something for someone else. And it was just kind of my time. And I would probably do that until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then wake up with him again at like 7:30. 8 o'clock in the morning and do it all over again. On the weekends, it was a little different, but it had its own routine on the weekend. Now my routine is much different, right? It took some time, but my routine is much different. I wake up early in the morning, I make my coffee, I get dressed, I go to work, I come home, I talk with my son for a little while, I'll cook dinner, I'll change out of my clothes, and I'll read cards if I'm guided to read cards, and then I relax. I relax and I catch some sleep early if I can. It's much more peaceful. My son helps me out a lot with things around the house so that I don't have to do that because I work a lot now. I would stay at home pretty much before and work from home, and now I do both. I work outside of the house and in the house, multitasking. So, your routine is going to change. And I think the biggest part of the visions, the 4 of visions with the magician energy, is to really create the vision that you want inside your mind and then stop changing it for other people. That's the biggest thing. People meet someone and they're like, oh my God, now they're picturing a whole nother happily ever after with said person, and they forget that they were holding this highest vision for themselves when they were solo, right? Now I have a highest good vision of myself and a potential partner in the life that I want to live, but I'm not going to change that for someone coming in my life. Either they're going to fit that happily ever after vision that I'm already holding, or they don't, and I don't really need the distraction otherwise. So I think that's kind of where your reading is taking you. Like, if you want to rebirth your own light, if you want to get in touch with your inner child, if you want to cleanse or create a new ritual, right? And that's the thing, like, people are creatures of habit. So when we get into relationships with other people, they are also creatures of habit. They have their routine. And if your routine changes, they don't necessarily know what to do, because now you've become unpredictable. It's unsettling, right? And it just takes time to readjust. If you're in a relationship dynamic and you start to heal your own self, your partner is going to be presented with opportunities to heal too. And they're going to try and suck you back into what is familiar for them. They're going to try and suck you back into your shadow routine. But make it a point to communicate, right, that you are reinventing yourself, the Seeker of Visions, right, the Knight of Cups with the Page of Wands. Have sincere communications, like, listen, like, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I miss. This is what I need. This is what I'm willing to continue doing. This is what I absolutely have to make time for. This is what it's going to look like. I'll still do this. I'll still do that. These are the things that are important to you that I do as a part of my routine. And it may only affect it in a very minor way, if at all. And I think that it could work. Instead of, you know, us doing this at a certain time, we'll do this at a certain time. Or you can do this instead, right, without me, because I'll be busy doing this. You know? You talk about it. Readjust your vision with each other and settle on something that's really beneficial for the two of you, right, if you're in a dynamic already. Because you're definitely entangled with someone. And your shadows are feeding off of each other right now. And even if it's not anything crazy, 99% is not 100, it's still a shadow. And our beautiful work here, our light work here, is to improve and heal into our best self. So let the shadow go. Don't be afraid to communicate. Don't be afraid to let go of the anxiety, right? The reality that causes anxiety or worry or stress. Like, yeah, it might be your routine, but it's a stressful one. Like, be willing to let it go and change it up a little bit. Start to tweak it. If you don't want to, you know, disrupt the entire thing at once, then work out a way to do it in pieces so that you can adjust as you shift. You know what I mean? Give yourself that patience. Give yourself that time to kind of flow into things. You don't have to like waterfall off the fucking edge, you know? So I have faith that if you chose reading number 1, Labradorite, that will help. And if you have a Labradorite stone, I would keep it on you. It opens up the crown chakra. It works with all of the upper chakras for that matter, from the heart space up. And I feel like it will really help connect you to your higher frequencies. Okay. And if you want to ground in better manifestations, it would really behoove you to clear that energy. Right. So you do get more of a rush of manifestation in a positive way than maybe a slow trickle or dead stop. Right. That you can listen to your divine downloads as you're getting them and start to trust that it's okay to express certain things. That you can call in your angels, call in your spirit guides, right? Call in whoever you need to call in to help you express what you know needs to be expressed instead of avoiding it, right? And trying to burn the evidence, right? That you're uncomfortable in some way, you know, untangle yourself. All right. So that was pile number 1. Okay. Pile number 2. That's right. I feel like I've been doing divert for decades now. Home after my second eye retreat. As Yule. Oh, happy early birthday. Love that. I'm curious about ayahuasca. I don't know. I wanted to do it initially. Now I'm not entirely sure, but I'm still curious about it. I wouldn't necessarily rule it out. Yeah, well, the first stone was Labradorite. This is the second one. This is the golden healer. That's what the stone is called. It's called a golden healer. It's my golden healer star. And then pile 3 is Merlinite. So, I mean, you're more than welcome to take something from any other readings, you know, even if you're not drawn to one in particular, there's something I'm sure to take from all of them in general. Yeah, it was Labradorite and then the golden healer and then the Merlinite. And I'm going to have timestamps in the comments and in the description afterwards so that, you know, people can go back and pick which one they resonate to and all that good stuff. So, yeah. I know I'm one of those people too. I'll follow all 3 and then take little bits and pieces from everything. That is definitely how I roll. I like listening to spirit being channeled through people. All right. So let's see. We're going to timestamp this. There's always something. There's always something. Spirit's brilliant like that. All right. So pile number 2, if you chose Golden Healer, let's get you some charms from Mr. Pineapple Charming. Oh, Spirit said, no, there's more. Okay. Okay. All right. So let's see. Get my pin board out. We've got, we're starting with something strong. We've got tequila. So it may be your poison of choice. You may have been drinking tequila lately. Not I, but you may have. I know when I used to drink tequila, it was I used to love to dance. Whenever I drank tequila, I was dancing. It made me want to dance for sure. Yeah, still on retreat diet. Good for you. Yeah, I haven't drank anything in like 2 years. I just don't have any desire to at all. Nothing personal against it. I just don't. We've also got the perfume bottle, which is also like my love spell because it reminds me of Victoria's Secret, like the love with the heart on it perfume. Reminds me of that. We might be addicted to somebody's smell. Yeah, I can. I just don't. We've also got 1111. So the synchronicity may be popping up for you a lot as of recent. Because I'm sure if you're here watching tarot and astrology and different things on YouTube, I'm sure you get synchronicities all the time as is because you're tuned in. But that might be extra prevalent for you as of lately. Oh, we've also got another white rabbit. This one's got a little pearly gift. Okay. We also have the love letter. I've got my love letter charm. So you may have been considering writing someone a letter lately, or a more extensive or vulnerable, honest, right, message. We've also got the Dalmatian, who's been coming out a lot lately. Okay, so Dalmatian might also be another type of spotted dog. We've got the chainsaw. That came out the other day too. So you might be cutting wood or something like that. Cutting some trees down. Now would be a good time, right? If you've got like dead or dying trees on your property and you're up here like in the winter time, like it would probably behoove you to take it down or get rid of the, branches that could potentially cause some damage before the winter storms come in. We've also got the turtle. Yeah, it's your Chinese zodiac is the dog. That's cool. I'm an ox. I'm a wood ox. 1985. And we've got a mermaid. Okay. Okay. We have one micro playing card, and it is the 7 of Hearts. I think my son is the dog. I would have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure my son is the dog. He was born in 2006. I have to double check that. But yeah. So the 7 of Hearts is the 7 of Cups. That's its tarot equivalent. And it could represent having multiple choices, multiple options, multiple paths to choose from. It could also represent being confused, especially if you have all these options, but none of them is really like, fuck yeah energy, right? You're kind of not sure which one to pick. Yeah, my ex is a dragon, and me and him are both alpha. The ox and the dragon are both very alpha energy. And him and I definitely went head to head on how we wanted to do things a few times. Him and I were very different. Very different. But yeah. He had real serious control issues. Real serious control issues. But anyway, I digress. Okay. So we've got charms. We've got zodiac beads. Let me pull them out here. We've got double Capricorn. All right, so you may have more than one significant Capricorn placement, right? Sun, moon, rising. You could also have any major planet in there. You can have Jupiter, Mercury, Neptune, Uranus, right? Multiple Capricorn placements. Yeah, and he is. Yeah, that is exactly correct. That's exactly correct. We've also got Virgo, Pisces, and Gemini. So high mutability. You might have a lot of mutability inside your chart, right? Gemini, Pisces, Virgo. All right, and double Capricorn. For letters, we've got 2 black C's, so feminine dominant energy. C, C, and then we have black Q. We have blue G and pink S. Okay, so could also, doesn't have to, but could also indicate gender with the blue and the pink. All right, so C, C, Q, G, S. We do have SC, which could be South Carolina, and it's been coming out. Yeah, can I buy Val? I would love to pull out Val sometimes. Y'all have no idea. Whenever I pull these letters and I can't make a dang word, because I got no vowels, makes me freaking crazy. So yeah, any names, initials, first, middle, or last could begin with one of those letters. It can also indicate where you live. Okay, GQ too could be Gentleman's Quarterly. You might have a subscription to that magazine, or used to, or whatever. Could be your initials regardless of the colors. Okay, that's only for people who need it super, super specific like that. CC also reminds me of like CCing someone on an email. So that might be relevant to someone. Okay. So those are the letters. We're going to leave it there. Y'all can take them as they resonate for y'all. Hey, Christina, how you doing? Yeah. Hey, if you've got 2 out of 3, take it. All right. So again, this is reading pile number 2. It's the Golden Healer piles. Let's see what we've got here. Okay. So what is healing? Yeah, I'm originally from New Jersey. I'm out in Illinois right now. So we've got throat chakra. Okay. Throat chakra is what is healing. This is our ability to speak about and create about. Okay, everything, if you think about the throat chakra, it's kind of like the bottleneck syndrome. Everything has to go through the throat in order to create. So if you're having issues creating things, it's probably because you have a throat chakra block. Now, the throat chakra is not just about what you say. It's a lot about what you say. Okay. Words are powerful. Okay. Well, they call it spelling for a reason. Okay. But your hands are also extensions of your throat chakra, right? Because we don't just speak from our throat chakra, we speak from our hands, right? We write letters, we type emails, we text people, so we create art with our hands, and our art speaks. We use sign language, literally. So, and we sign with our hands. There's a lot that hands do, right, to communicate. We touch and give affection and comfort and hug with, and we cook with our hands, right? And our energy goes into our food. It's creative, right? The throat chakra is the creative hub of our experience. Everything is either communicated or acted upon in some way, right? So when we're talking about the throat chakra, it's about unlocking your ability to express what it is that you want to create via your words or your actions, right? Actions speak louder than words. And that has a lot to do with how we use our hands, right? Even our hands are yin and yang, right? Left is receiving and right is giving. It's yin and yang, right? We've got two hands and they come into union, and we talk about these things that we want and what we desire. And then it's a matter of putting our money where our mouth is, so to speak, and doing what we need to do. So the throat chakra is what is healing. It's your ability to take ownership of what it is that you want to create and communicate it effectively with your words and or your actions, right? Follow through. The milestone energy, we got the World card with the Empress. Okay, so double Taurian energy, also Libran energy, as well as Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarian energy. Because it's Venusian and Saturnian, to be fair. All right, Venus and Saturn. They might be really significant for you in your chart, or you may need to look at your birth chart and see how those energies are at play right now with the different Saturn alignment and Venusian alignment going on. Because if you're getting squares, right, to your Venus or your Saturn from other things, or the current Saturn and Venus are creating squares or oppositions, right, in your chart, then those are things that you need to integrate and rise to, right? Whenever we deal with oppositions in our birth chart, it's about integration, how the shadows of those two inner things can get into a lock, or we can get into the light attributes of those two energies and allow them to work together. And we integrate their light in order to create balance between the two opposing signs, the opposing houses, right? Making their light, choosing it consciously for them to work together. Whenever we get squares, it is highly distractive, literally setting you on detours in your life from your highest good path whenever you're dealing with squares. And so being consciously aware of the square, the challenge, you can choose to override it, right? And the same thing, because it comes out as shadows, and you need to consciously choose, right? Consciously meaning you have to be aware to choose the light attributes of those signs, right? So for an example, like if you were dealing with a Neptune-Mars square, it typically denotes addiction, because the shadow of Neptune is escapism and fear. And the shadow of Mars can be recklessness and impulse, indulgence. And when you put those two together, escapism, recklessness, indulgence, right? Fear state, wanting to escape, you get you get addiction, you get sex addiction, you get drug addiction, alcohol abuse, right? You get all kinds of addictions with Neptune, Mars, right? And square. And so you'd really have to step into the light, which is about taking action in alignment with faith, right? Taking action, leadership in your life and divine flow, trusting the divine, right? Which is a real challenge because that square would have you escape that flow, right? Would have you deny the fact that that light even exists, right? Squares become our demons. And so people that have major squares in their charts or grand crosses in their charts, they deal with a lot of demons, right? They deal with a lot of demons, more than someone who may only have one or two in their chart. If they've got multiple squares or grand crosses, they've had a hard life and they deal with a lot of demons because of it, right? They have more to heal. They've picked an intense life cycle. And so understand, right? Understand the different challenges that are coming up for you in life so that you can close cycles on certain things, right? The World card is about finally closing cycles and Empress energy being in that divine feminine energy, that high feminine energy where you receive your best light, right? Because Venus and her light is gracious and beautiful. And that's the kind of life that we want to live, where we're filled with gratitude for the beauty of all of the experience that we've had, even if it's been hard, right? Even if it's been hard. Finding that gratitude in the good things. Now, the energy around you, y'all are going to love this. We got the unicorn. The energy around you is the unicorn. How that affects you, we got the angel. The unicorn and the angel. So the unicorn in your light is prompting you. Yeah, it's yerba mate. Yeah. It's the enlightenment. I love it. My other favorite flavor is the rebel berry. The rebel berry is my second other favorite. But we have the unicorn and the angel. Right. So whoever this unicorn person is in your life, they are magical. They are healing. Right. And they're rare. And they're prompting you to bring your light out, to bring your angel out. And you may honestly be nervous too. Okay. You may be nervous too. This might even be someone that you probably could, should, would be attracted to, but aren't. And it might be because you're still dealing with residual energy that you're still closing the cycle on, right? Because we're healing the throat chakra and what it is that you want to create, right? Your actions are being stopped, or your words are being stopped from creating your highest good reality. And you have a unicorn in your midst trying to bring it out of you, right? Someone worthy of the words and actions. So to get some further clarity on that, we've got the King of Swords. All right, so Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, strong air energy. This is also someone who is quite reasonable. Things need to make sense to them. Their strategy, right? There's an order to things. And they will do what needs to get done regardless of emotion, right? Even if that means they have to take their emotions out of it. And so right now, if you're focused on a particular goal, you might have your emotions out of the equation altogether and not even be looking like at something like love, right? Yeah, of course I'm on, Lori. It's Yule. Happy Yule. So yeah, I feel like right now you might be very focused on certain things and have possibly taken your emotions out of the equation, okay? Which would make manifestation difficult because Manifestation, when we follow divine will, has to go through the heart chakra. So if you've shut your emotions off and you're not allowing yourself to feel, you're going to have a really difficult time grounding in your manifestation through your lower chakras, right? Having the confidence to move forward from your solar plexus to create sacral what it is you want to manifest in the outer root chakra, right? Kind of has to go through that heart center. But if you're not allowing yourself to bring it into creation, if you're not openly communicating with your outer experience and exchanging with your unicorn, right, being receptive or open to your unicorn who's trying to pull your angelic self out, right, who deserves to receive it. The unicorn is someone who deserves to receive your best self. And if something is preventing you, stopping you, blocking you from giving your best self to the unicorn, then that's what's healing, right? That's what's healing. When you have a unicorn in your midst, right, who's trying to bring your best self out. A lot of times we know what our best self looks like. We've given it to the wrong person, right? We've given it to the wrong person. So we know what the best of us looks like. We just gave it to the wrong person. And so now you've got this unicorn in your midst and they deserve your best version. But you might be hesitant to bring it out and give it. Okay. You might be looking at things logically, reasonably, looking at your everyday life, what it is you need to do, right? Saturn is Capricorn energy. It did come out in the charms. You may be really focused on your work. You may be focused on your own finance. You may be focused on your world and bettering your home environment. You might be focused on you. Okay. You might be very focused on you and being very strict with what it is that you're doing and not necessarily opening up to other things, right? Yeah. Not closed to emotions. Sorry, I'm like Mercury retrograding, trying to process the wording that you chose. Emotions. I'll say this. The emotions are divine feminine. Divine feminine is not divine masculine. Divine masculine is shot calling, right? Divine masculine is choice making, yang action, right? Action oriented. Emotions are feminine. They are meant to be experienced and accepted for what they are, acknowledged, but they are not meant to dictate choice. So when we say, okay, this doesn't feel good, the masculine part of the self has to recognize the feminine's feeling, it doesn't feel good, and then reasonably choose an accurate or productive response, right? Like when I didn't feel good with my counterpart, we were having serious issues. I chose masculine to acknowledge the feminine that didn't feel good and ask him if he wanted to go to counseling. That was the action taken. It was rejected, right? It was rejected. I was gaslit and had it flipped around on me after like a 2.5 hour fucking ordeal. And then I had to say, okay, this doesn't feel good. And that action did not work. What other action can we take? Ultimately, I had no other action to take but to leave him, right? So our feminine energy is meant to be felt and acknowledged, but it is not a choice making faculty of the self, right? When we let our emotions override our logic and reason, that's a problem. And it's usually caused by the feminine being ignored by the masculine part of the self for too long, right? When the masculine was shoving it down or burying it or denying that it was there in the first place, right? Ignoring feelings and burying it. And then all of a sudden, the feminine energy explodes and takes control. And that is never good. It's never good. It's never good, right? So being in your King of Swords energy, it's not a bad thing. Mate? I was saying yerba mate. It's yerba mate. Oh, thank you. It reminds me. Sorry, guys. It reminds me of that Josh Johnson live. He's a comedian, and he was talking about getting himself a Hermes bag, and then someone in the audience screamed at him, and she goes, "It's Hermes!" And he was like, "Oh." He goes, "That's why poor people don't speak luxury." That just reminded me of that. Yerba mate. All right. Touche. Appreciate that, because I would have been saying yerba mate until someone corrected me. So good took forever. Appreciate that. So anyway, and you know what? As a part of the message, you might really have to laugh at yourself for little things that you didn't realize. You know what I mean? Like in your own ignorance. In your own ignorance, you might have to really just take a moment to laugh at yourself and be like, wow, yeah, clarity. Clarity. Like, wow, my unicorn is right there. Wow, the universe is giving me this opportunity to be in my light and receive light, right? To receive the healing that I really do deserve and need, right? And you kind of have to laugh at yourself for letting your mind kind of overcompensate because you're afraid of feeling hurt, right? Which is why your masculine energy is shutting it down. Your feelings are not meant to be shut down. They're meant to be felt, right? But the masculine will override the feminine sometimes, who does want to be loved, right? We do want to, oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm not insulted. Yeah, the masculine tries to protect the feminine from feeling hurt, right? And so if we allow ourselves to use the feminine the way it's meant to be used, we're better off, right? The feminine is not meant to call shots, but it is meant to be acknowledged. And if we can get in the habit of acknowledging it on a regular basis and communicating effectively, right? Because technically the King of Swords is a very mature communicator. I think you're very capable of that, right? And you have to get comfortable communicating. Like I throat chakra, I think you have the words to describe what you're feeling. I think you are capable of communicating it effectively. I think you have to know that it will be received, because if you were with someone who was not a unicorn prior and you were with someone in their shadows, whenever you expressed how you felt and possible solutions, they probably shut it down and became very toxic, and it became painful to express yourself. And so now, in order to receive your highest light, you really do have to reopen that throat chakra, because you dealt with someone who had shut it down before, right? Super yang female. Yeah, I'm high masculine too. I'm working on empowering my own feminine energy. It's been a process. I've been working on it for like the last couple of years, really allowing that communication between masculine and feminine within the self to get used to interacting with each other and trusting each other and building that kind of rapport within my own, yin and yang energy, because I'm not allowing anybody else in my life until I actually get comfortable doing that. And now I'm comfortable enough that I know if I were to pull anybody else into my experience, I'm actually very confident in the way my masculine and feminine communicate and allow myself to create based off of that. So yeah, it takes practice, man. It takes practice. It takes practice. It takes conscious effort to heal that kind of stuff. So the tarot that clarified the King of Swords, why you're in this stoic kind of logic, reason, ignoring the emotions, or not allowing yourself to be in situations where emotions become a factor, right? Where you're feeling through things. Right now, you might not be in situations where you're feeling through things. It might be very, very redundant, or very ritual, or very routine, or very logical, right? Very, this is what I'm doing, right? Matter of fact stuff, where your emotions are not in that wavy kind of ocean energy, right? With tides and currents. I think it became comfortable, right? I think that you've gotten comfortable dealing with situations where your emotions are not fluctuating. But the fact of the matter is, when our emotions stagnate, the water tends to spoil. It's like being in a pool that has no filter and the water's not moving. Eventually it gets stagnant, it gets algae, it gets gross, it gets toxic, right? It draws bugs and things. So, I mean, like, you really do have to keep your emotions in a flow state, right? Mm-hmm. Super second. Yeah. So with the tarot, right, we have the 10 of Cups reversed, the Chariot reversed, and the 10 of Boons, which is the 10 of Coins, reversed. It's clarified by the King of Boons, or the King of Coin, the Ace of Cups, which is the Ace of Visions, in reverse. No, that's the Ace. Yeah, I said what I said correctly. And then we have the 9 of Spells and the Black Shuck, which is the 9 of Wands and the Death card, clarifying the 10 of Boons reversed. Okay, so why you're in this energy, you have shut down the 10 of Cups, shut down the 10 of Coin, and shut down the Chariot card. There's no forward momentum. You've released any thoughts of 10 of Cups, happily ever after, or family, living with someone else situations, right? All of those energies were shut down, probably because you lost what you felt was fulfillment at one point, lost that forward momentum that you had, felt like the divine betrayed you in a sense, because the Chariot, the number 7, is divine intervention or divine miracle, right? And forward movement. So you might have felt like a hard stop in the manifestation. And it's because it was something that, you know, you, your ego, or your wounding wanted, but that wasn't in alignment with you. And so the universe put it to a hard stop, and you have not been able to find your momentum since. So you may definitely be more money focused right now with the King of Boons. You're not willing to start over in love, the Ace of Cups in the reverse, which is also not allowing Spirit to water you either, because the Ace of Cups is when we allow Spirit to water us. And, you know, Spirit, we as individuals and Spirit are not separate. So when I say Spirit, I do mean you, okay? You've kind of shut down your ability to receive the overflow, right? For Spirit to choose to overflow to you, right? This is throat chakra work. The 9 of Spells is being wounded. The 9 of Wands is the minor arcana for Chiron. You're going through a transformation, an ego death, with the Black Shuck and the 9 of Spells on that 10 of Boons, right? The reverse 10 of Pentacles. With the 9 of Spells, with her dancing in this magic circle, it's almost like you're protecting yourself inside your home by not allowing anybody else in it. You're protecting the family that you do have, or the people that you do live with, even if it's just yourself. You're not willing to let it grow because you're afraid of the loss of it. right? This is serious fears of loss because you had had a happily ever after vision that you were working on. Potentially did have someone that you were living with that you were very close to, that you considered to be like family or a part of your family. And then the universe put it to a hard stop, right? And so now you have a unicorn, right? You have this unicorn in your presence. Unicorns get friend zoned so bad. And it's the truth. Like, unicorns are the people that we wish we were attracted to and we're just not, because they're perfect, right? They love us. They care about us. They consider us. They get friend zoned all the time. Well, why are they friend zoned though? It's because you have wounds that are not allowing you to be attracted to your healed version. Your wounds are preventing you from communicating or taking actions, right? In order to receive the end of the cycle, which is the purpose of why we're here, right? The world is the end of your healing cycle, where you get to receive in your high feminine energy. Our pain, our karma, that Saturn energy is still really prevalent and needs to heal. So you could have an angel in your midst, right? Trying to pull the best out of you that they deserve to receive. They deserve to receive your best. And you're resistant because you've got wounds, right? Twins, I believe we do have more than one. I think we have light twins and dark twins. Dark twins pull the best out of us immediately, but they don't deserve to receive it. And then our light twins deserve to receive our best, and yet they get our shadow, right? And the roles reverse. So, and I think it happens multiple times over because spirit works in windows and doors. And I believe that we have more than one. Okay. That's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, if you've got a unicorn in your midst and they deserve your angel, they probably are a light twin, and you've got to check your shadow at the fucking door, because your shadow will hurt them and sabotage your relationship with them. It's the one thing that you will end up regretting later, right? When we lose our light twin. There's a lot of regret after that we have to forgive ourselves for, because we just weren't healed at the time. Like my ex, prior to my quote unquote counterpart, right? The person that I believed was my counterpart, the person that I was with prior to him, he was my light twin. He was my light twin. And I've had to forgive myself for not being ready for that. I had a lot of healing to do. And I've done it. I've done it. And I would welcome him in my life with open arms now. It's just that window, that door closed. He moved on with his life. He found and connected to a light twin for him, right? And I'm happy for him, but that was my lesson. You know what I mean? So the next time I have a unicorn like that show up in my life, I don't fucking blow it. And I know what they deserve to receive because, well, my shadow twin taught me what I'm capable of giving. What I'm truly capable of giving. I'm aware now. You know what I mean? I'm aware now. And I've been working on, like I said, this communication within the self, masculine and feminine energy, that I know what I am and I'm not willing to interact with, right, in my everyday life. Like I draw hard lines. Like this is a big one. That is my one solid hard line. You could be quirky, you could be weird, you could be odd, you can have all kinds of very authentic little 𝘋𝘐𝘕𝘌 and personality traits, and I will love all of them. But if you're not sober, you're not my person. I'm not going there, right? That brings out that shadow mirror that I've healed through. I'm no longer willing to date addicts. I'm no longer willing to date people who I don't know who I'm going to be dealing with at some point, right? So you could be brown. I'm not exactly sure I understand the statement, but yeah, I think that people learn their best. Yeah, you could be brown, you could be blue, I might be purple. You know. But yeah, I think the overall message for this is to really realize that, you know, when you go through hard experiences where you're facing your shadow half, to remember and be reminded of your light, that you also have a beautiful, lovely dark side that comes out in front of people that don't deserve to receive your dark either. You know, and you really do have to keep those two sides of yourself in check. And remember, there is a time, place for all of it. Because to be fair, if your fucking ugly is coming out at somebody, it's a reflection inside their mirror that they are also still healing. And so you don't necessarily want to connect with somebody who, if you returned light for light, is going to dip into their own shadows, because that will happen. That will happen. Even with my light twin, when I stepped out of my shadow and started going into my light, his shadows came out real fast. You know, his shadows started to come out and I started to see them. We were both healing. So heal, right? The best thing you could do is just simply heal for yourself, and know that the right partner will find and connect with your energy, because you just won't resonate with the light or the shadow on either side, right? You just won't. So make sure that you are ready. Trust your own readiness, trust your own alignment, and know that the right person will find you and stick around. Yeah. Like my ex, prior to my quote unquote counterpart, he is to this day the best partner that I ever had. And I hurt him way too many times. I hurt him way too many times, specifically over my quote unquote counterpart. And when I was doing things that were authentic to me, he started to have a real problem with it. Like he was the best partner as far as like how I was treated goes, how I deserved to be treated. But he also had expectations of me that made him comfortable, and I didn't fit that. Like, I'm a night owl. I get super creative at 2-3 o'clock in the morning. You know, I wanted to go down in my basement and paint, because all of my little paint studio stuff was down there. And I would be awake and want to paint and listen to some music while I painted. And, you know, he would come down and complain. Like, he'd be like, can you just go to bed? Like, come lay with me. And I was like, you know, I laid with you for a while, but if you're fucking sleeping, you're fucking sleeping. Like, I'm awake. Like, I don't want to just lay in the bed awake, because that's driving me insane. Like, if I were tired too, then I would be in the bed with you and lying with you, you know, but I'm wide awake. And it's weird for me to just lay in the bed while you're asleep snoring, because you want me in the bed when I want to paint. Like, you know, you're asleep anyway. Go back to bed. He would get really upset if I were talking on the phone with my friends for too long, because I have friends all over the world, you know, and sometimes the time zone is the time zone. And I would connect with my Australian friends while I was awake at 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And he would have a problem with that too, because then he thought I was cheating on him or talking to somebody else, because his previous wife had cheated on him. And so he just assumed if I'm talking to somebody while he's asleep, it's because I'm being sneaky. And I'm like, do you want to talk to Julie? Like, do you want to talk to Al? Like, we're on a popcorn call. Like, it's a group call. Do you want to join? Like, do you want to say hi? Like, I'm not hiding, you know what I mean? I'm not hiding anything, but he did not like it. He was really jealous and insecure. So the more that I was myself and it was outside of his expectations, the more his shadow came out, right? The jealousy came out. When I decided I wanted to move forward, like, he started drinking really heavily out of nowhere, right? And he was not a heavy drinker. I would not have considered him an alcoholic by any means. But as soon as I started creating healthy boundaries, he started drinking wild, right? He was literally getting drunk at home, which was not like him at all, which is why I will literally only date someone if they're straight edge. I don't even give a shit if you're not an alcoholic and you can drink responsibly, because all it takes is, in my mind, is one life event. And then all of a sudden alcohol is your coping mechanism, because you have no other taught way to deal with your emotions in a healthy way, right? To process things in a healthy way. So I don't deal with people if they're not sober. Like, I'm not going to go through some crazy traumatic life event and dive into a bottle. You know what I mean? I do not drink. You know, I do not smoke weed. I don't take pills. I don't do any of that shit. You know what I mean? So I don't want to be with somebody who might dive into that, because that's not what I signed up for. And I don't want to have to leave somebody that I love and care about when they're at a low, because I'm not going to suffer with you. You know what I mean? Like, I'll help you process through it. But if you're going to go dive into a bottle or dive into whatever and be unreachable, then you're literally leaving me no choice. Like, this is not what I signed up for. I fell in love with a person who was sober. You know what I mean? And you're not that person anymore. I'm sorry. Like, I'm going to vibe out of your experience. We're not going to be on the same wavelength. So I don't even want to deal with somebody that does that. And I think, like, with all of this message being a part of this reading, you know, like, you really have to understand where your healthy boundaries are. What works for you and what doesn't. What is your vision, right? What is your vision of your highest good? How does someone treat you? And then ask yourself, why are you blocking it? Why are you blocking it? And if you're not really blocking it, if you know you're not blocking it, can you accept that your light will irritate their demons, and that maybe you're not drawn to somebody, even if they're special, even if they're quote unquote perfect in so many ways? It's because they're also healing something, and you don't want to be in your shadow. I don't want to be in my shadow. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. Because my shadow, I've got two. I've got two. One is the empath that overpours and overcompensates and martyrs the shit out of myself into the fucking ground. The other one is fucking furious. Furious. Like Mars and Libra, wild at the injustice. Cancerian rising, Cancer moon, claws out, like, bitch, we're about to get fucking real. I'm about to slice and dice you. Like, and I don't want to go there, right? I don't want to go there. I don't want to be that kind of partner that screams and berates at, you know, my partner. Like, I don't want to be that. I witnessed my mother being that. I don't want to flip out and lose my temper and start cussing my partner. Like, if you're going to push me to that end, you are not in alignment with me, because me does not want to be in that shadow. It's not a good look. I don't like it. I don't like it. You know, if you like seeing me pissed off and upset, well, you are not my person, because you like seeing a version of me that I don't. I don't like that version. I've grown out of the desire to be or feel that part is needed. If you're going to push me to the point that I'm flipping out or I'm emotional and I'm upset, you're not my person. My most recent ex, it'll actually be a year since him and I officially split this upcoming week. But yeah, out of nowhere, my emotions started getting real upset. I started getting wildly triggered. I was flipping out, and I was just like, he's bringing out my shadow because he's mistreating my heart space, right? It's misaligned, and I don't want my heart space misaligned. I shouldn't have to be upset. I shouldn't have to be upset like that. Like, the partner that loves me is not going to do things that gets me that kind of triggered and upset. I just had to let him go. He was not ready. He was not ready to be my partner. And to be fair, I was not ready for someone who was not healed. I want healed, like 99%, it's not 100. So I'm focusing on that within myself, and I'm going to let my partner come in and meet me on that level. Right? I'm going to come in and let my partner meet me on that level. So there's nothing I'm going to do that's going to outright trigger my fucking partner. Like, I'm not going to do things to disrespect my partner. I don't have any exes that I'm going to go talk to. right? I'm not going to go get fucking hammered or drunk or stoned and they don't feel like they could talk to me or take me anywhere or have a serious conversation with me because, you know, I'm blitzed out of my fucking mind, or I'm not in the mood or incapable of being intimate with them because, you know, I'm too fucked up. Like, or I'm going to say shit that I don't fucking mean and then blame it on the fact that I'm drinking or drugs. Like, they'll never have that issue with me. You know, cheating, feeling insecure. I'm very confident in myself and the partner that I pick. I've never been a cheater. Like, it's not my thing. So, you know, if someone wants to be ready on that level with me, great. And if they're not on that level with me, all right, well, heal up, motherfucker. Heal up. What the fuck? What the fuck? Because I'm not going to sit around and wait around on your ass. Like, Spirit's going to guide me where it needs me to go. Yeah, Daisy does not shrink next to a rose. Fucking words of wisdom. Yeah. If my light's too bright, you need some SPF. Damn straight. Damn straight. All right, so the message, right? We're going to get into the guidance. You know, maybe this is why I pre-pulled all the cards, because I go on fucking rants. That's why. I get on fucking rants. Divine rants, right? So after the storm, there's a thunderstorm about. It is either headed your way or just passing through now. So don't make a thunderstorm mean more than what it is, though. You don't have to fear it. You might even feel excited about it. After all, a thunderstorm is just nature's way of gathering energy together that needs to be released. Thanks. I'm enjoying you too, to be fair. After all, a thunderstorm is just nature's way of gathering energy together that needs to be released. With a release of tension, relief and freedom soon follow, often with a fresh perspective and perhaps the gift of a promising, hopeful vision for the future. There is, in life and in the creative process, a need to allow for wild storms. There will be those precious moments of peace beforehand and the release and revitalization that follows, yet the storm in the middle is essential. It is a natural part of the creative process. Without this building and releasing of energy, we would suffer from boredom and stagnancy, right? And we were talking about the flow of water, right? The flow of emotions. You can't be stagnant. Energy has to build and release, right? Ebb and flow. Says you may prefer the excitement of the storm or the fresh, open feeling that accompanies when it clears. You may find it confronting to be faced with the power of something in which you can only participate in rather than control. Either way, the storm wisdom offers you the gift of bringing things to a head and clearing them away so that energy can be freed from a pattern that has had its day and is ready to become something new. If you can't sense the storm yet, the oracle is a portent for you. The storm is coming, and you can, if you wish, feel the beautiful, exhilarating gift of it as you are empowered to cast aside what has been and receive the gift of a fresh, new take on things. Your confidence is to remain intact, whatever is happening or soon will happen in your life. This storm of sorts is transformational and supportive of your growth. It's going to clear away the cobwebs and free you, open you to new creative energy and life. Remember, there can be no rainbows without a little rain. This oracle is confirmation that if you have been praying for help, your prayers have been heard, and the great creative intelligence of our universe is responding to you, stepping in and shaking things up so that situations can be sorted out according to a greater wisdom. So let go. Hold only to your inner self and allow everything to be cleansed in the sacred storm. Right? The storms of our life are beautiful. They clear away old past life relationships where debts were owed. They clear away old toxic parts of ourselves that we need to recognize and acknowledge and not go there with ourselves anymore, right? We go through all kinds of things that we get to reflect on. And that's the beauty of it all. Once you go through a storm, you get to reflect on it. Like leaving my family behind was a storm. Leaving my son's family behind was a storm. Leaving my exes behind were storms. Leaving jobs behind was storms. Leaving my group of girls that I was friends with for fucking years was a storm. And after every storm, there was some beautiful light to take away from it, right? The beautiful lessons of it all, the clearing. It's good to process through the emotions that were felt at times that maybe you were too swept up in the moment to really digest and understand where they were coming from, right? When we're emotional in a moment, we don't typically breathe and stop to look at what is triggering that emotion up. It is only after the storm passes that we can really sit with and reflect on how we were feeling and where it came from, and then address it. Right? And then address it as necessary. Sometimes we realize we owe an apology. Sometimes we realize that we just got our own closure and we don't need the apology from someone else to feel better. Like, I don't need an apology from my ex. What is he sorry for? What does he have to be sorry for? Any of my exes, what do they have to be sorry for? Well, I mistreated you. I called you names. All right. Well, I healed though. I became a better version of myself. So thank you for being a fucking dick. Like, I wouldn't repeat that. I wouldn't repeat that experience, but I can appreciate it. Hey, Megan, how you doing? But I can appreciate it. And that's what we were talking about last reading, like finding the beauty in it. That's what we're talking about in this reading, right? Closing the cycle. The Empress is gratitude and beauty. The beauty of experience when we close cycles, right? When we close chapters. What is the value, right? Venus, both mundane and emotional. What is the value? Because if you can't see the value and find gratitude after a storm, you're probably going to repeat that storm. I mean, if we're going to go through storms regardless, I would rather go through a different one than the same one over and over and over again. Yeah. I think you need to find the value in your past experience as opposed to blocking out new experiences because you haven't processed it through yet. I think at the end of the day, that's what this is. If you've shut your emotions down and don't want to be in situations where your emotions come to the surface and start to flow around again, and your 10 of Cups reversed, Chariot reversed, 10 of Pentacles reversed, right? Shutting things down, Ace of Cups reversed, and you're not letting your emotions come back up to be felt through, that you would start to stagnate. I think you have to go back and process and find what you have to be grateful for. Did you find out what you deserve to receive? Did you find your worth? Did you find your strength to stand up for yourself? Did you find self-compassion? Did you find self-mercy that you didn't have before? Did you learn something new? Because being with someone who was, in my case, sociopathic drove me to understand it. And I started to watch and read and research different, psychological cluster B personality disorders so that I can be more aware of it. So that the red flags are not question marks and I wonders, and it's clear as day now. Right? What did you gain? And then thank the assholes of your life, right? Thank the CUNTs and the bitches of your life. Thank them for being in their unhealed energy because you got to see your light at the end. Thank them for having not healed yet because you needed that reflective mirror to see your own unhealed state. And the more you heal, the more you're going to find mirrors and people that reflect that healed state with you and for you. When you're confident in your own energy and your own state of being and you're sovereign, nothing else outside of you is going to sway, change, or shift your high alignment with yourself. Like, I trust myself. You couldn't gaslight me now. I'm too strong for that shit. Right? Like, thank the assholes that got you to where you are, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah, everyone deserves love. I actually wrote a poem about that in regards to narcissism. Like, even narcissists do deserve love. They don't know it. And we're not, and it is not our job to prove it to them. Okay? It is not our job to prove to a narcissist that they deserve love, that we would suffer to prove it. Like, no. But they do deserve love. They have to acknowledge their value and their worth and deserve to receive it with their own actions, right? That they would choose better behavior and not push it away, right? Narcissists have to learn how to relate to people in a way that is healthy so that they can continuously get love, giving love, right? Instead of bullying or gaslighting or putting people down, putting people beneath them, right? In order to make people feel unworthy of the breadcrumbs that they give, right? They have to learn better behavior. Otherwise, they're going to consistently lose good people that love and care about them. You know, they deserve to be loved, but their behavior doesn't reflect that, which is why they end up losing people that love them. You know, all is fair in universal law. Yeah, I forgive, and I'm grateful too. You know, same thing with my son's father. I don't ever really talk about him. The same thing goes for him. You know, I'm super grateful for my son. He's the rock in my life. You know what I mean? I'm super grateful for the experience. I learned and healed a lot through him too, you know, and it's just now people like them, like people that are all my exes for a reason. My exes, like I wish them nothing but the best, genuinely. I hope they heal. I hope they live beautiful, full lives. I hope they can forgive themselves. I hope they can learn to love themselves and reciprocate and live beautiful lives. You know, I'm doing that. I can only wish them the same. You know, it's just, do I want to relive anything like that with them or with people like them on that same wavelength? No. No, I can recognize that wavelength a mile away now. I've been there, done that, received it. Like, I know. I'm no. No. So pile number 2. I have faith that this divine conversation will help you whenever you catch it. Right? If you were drawn to this reading, I have faith that it will serve you well. All right. Find gratitude after the storm. That was the star-shaped golden healer stone. Okay. We are still going to do Q&A at the end, guys. I know I'm fucking almost 2 hours in. I don't care. I'm off work tomorrow. Hey. We're on reading number 3. We're going to do the Merlinite now. Timestamp this one. All right. We've got Merlinite. Pile number 3. I'm going to pull you some charms. Wow, that's some energy right there. All right. Yeah, I pulled all the cards and shuffled them out and didn't really look at them. So now I'm like laying them all out. I'm like, damn. That's a powerful energy right there. Shit. Yeah, Merlinite's really pretty. It's a super powerful stone. It's really cool if you guys look up the properties of Merlinite. Really, Spirit has me cherry picking certain charms out. What is going on? Okay. get my pin board here. For our pile 3 Merlinite, we've got, now it's a Mercedes, technically, but it is one of them old hippie vans with a surfboard on top. So that may be a synchronicity for you. We've also got, one of our mood clouds. She's our chilly little mood cloud. She's snowing. And so as a mood, it might be the fact, it might literally be snowing. Okay, wherever you are, it could literally be snowing, and that could be the synchronicity. But it could also be feeling really cold and unloved, and that energy reflecting in your own actions towards other people, that you feel unloved and are therefore holding back love from other people. Okay, so be aware of that, right? That if you feel unloved by certain people, that you may be responding, not realizing it, right? Just kind of acting out towards others how you don't feel loved, right? We don't even realize that sometimes when we don't feel loved, we deny choices that would love other people. You know, an example would be like maybe you don't feel loved by someone, and so they ask you if you want to sit and watch a movie with them. And you know that they would really love it if you sat and watched the movie with them, but you tell them no and deny them that. Even though you do want to sit and watch the movie, you do something else instead because you're refusing in some which way, shape, or form to love them because you feel unloved, right? Maybe they didn't love you in a way that you wanted them to love you earlier in the day. And so you're kind of unconsciously throwing it back at them, right? So you may be feeling unloved and then taking that energy out on people and making them feel unloved as well. Okay. We've also got, you may be dealing with that in the other way around as well. Okay. Someone is denying you love. Also got broccoli. So you may have literally eaten broccoli lately. You may have a broccoli tattoo. I don't know. We've also got patriots. So you may consider yourself a patriot regardless of whatever nation you are from. You may also be in the New England states or be a Patriots fan, right? The football team living in the New England states. Even if they are not your favorite team, you may still be in the New England states. We've also got the Star card. So Aquarian energy, Uranian energy, wishing on a star type energy. We've got the crescent moon. A pretty purple one at that. Y'all know how I am about purple. We've also got Saturn. Oh, I can't actually wait for it to snow. I love the snow. It hasn't snowed here yet. We've also got a cupcake. You may have recently eaten a cupcake. I don't know why, but it's also giving me like birthday vibes. Like if you treated yourself to a cupcake or something on your birthday. It might be that. You might be bringing cupcakes to an event or something. We've also got a ball of yarn and some knitting or crocheting needles. So you may knit or do crochet. Or just have that talent or skill in general. I wish I knew how to do that, to be completely fair. We've also got another mermaid. This one reminds me of Ariel, right? Ariel, a Little Mermaid. We've got a white rabbit. We got a white rabbit in all 3 charms. I mean, all 3 readings got a white rabbit charm. And I didn't put none of the charms back in each reading. So, white rabbit. White rabbit may be synchronistic for you in some which way, shape, or form. Maybe you had like, you know how like babies like and children have like their comfort animal or their blankie or something? You might have had a bunny, right? Like a white rabbit. It could be significant. You might own rabbits, right? You might literally own rabbits. Mm-hmm. I never read the original story. I had no idea. That's wild. We've also got a piggy charm. So you may have recently put like money in a piggy bank, right? If you're saving money for something, you may literally own a pet pig, or they're just your favorite animal. You may have owned one at one time. We've also got the apple. You may be a teacher. Or juice fruit. I don't know why I just got that. You might be juicing apples and stuff like that, like fresh vegetable juices. I used to love that. I really should get myself a juicer. We've got cherries. All right, so between the apple and the cherries, you might have been eating fruit salad or making fruit salad. We've got the bat, one of the bats. So you might feel like you have telepathy with somebody. It's also, you know, echolocation is like seeing in the dark through sensing as opposed to literal sight. So if you don't have someone in your reality, but you can kind of sense their energy around you, that's sometimes represented with the bat, right? Communication or seeing what is going on in the dark, right? Metaphorically, the dark. We've also got the screwdriver. I know, I love bats too. They're super cool. So you may have been working on things recently, especially if you work with a screwdriver. And then the snowman. You may have literally been listening to different versions of Frosty the Snowman. I know that they're playing all kinds of holiday music right now. My favorite is the song by Sia called Snowman. It's a great song. Yeah, if you're not familiar with that song, you should totally listen to it. That song in and of itself might have synchronicities for you. Okay. And we have the 1 micro playing card. We have the 2 of Hearts, which tarot equivalent is the 2 of Cups. So you might be dealing with a soulmate, right? Especially because I was just talking about Sia, the Snowman song. Maybe dealing with a soulmate. Hopefully you get enough snow to make one. I've made little mini ones before with snowballs. I ain't gonna lie. I love little mini snowmen. I'll do it. I don't care. Snowman can be this big and he's adorable. All right. Signs. We've got 2 zodiac signs. We've got Pisces and Taurus. So they may be significant for you, or what is going on in those 2 signs may be significant in regards to your chart. Yeah, I'm solution oriented. Where there's a will, there's a way. with these cards, to be fair, that might be a part of the message too, being solution oriented and knowing where there's a will, there's a way. But Taurus and Pisces. So Taurus has Uranus and Jupiter in there right now. And Pisces has Saturn and Neptune in there right now. Okay, so they may be affecting your placements in some which way, shape, or form, the houses that they rule in your chart. Okay, Taurus and Pisces. Letters. We have blue C, black P and M, and white K. Okay, so the blue C doesn't have to, but may be an indication of gender. Yin and yang, black and white, masculine and feminine. We have the yang K, masculine dominant, and then black yin P and M. All right, so you can have any of those could be initials, abbreviations, first, middle, or last name. Could represent a career, place that you live, or something like that. We've also got PC. So I know a lot of y'all listen to me on your phones, but you could literally be listening to me on a PC right now. We've got MK. So you might be a fan of Michael Kors. We've also got CK, Calvin Klein. So now we've got 2 different designer initials out here. You might be into brand names. PM, it could be nighttime where you are. I'm missing a V, but I've got MVP if I had the V and I saw it. So you might be a most valuable player who doesn't know their value because the V is missing. Okay. Let's see. I don't know what PCM is, but for whatever reason, the abbreviation looks familiar. I just don't know what it is. So PCMK. Could be first, middle, or last name initials. Okay. Mm-hmm. We're missing a U. My scorpionic energy went right to the C and the M. Yeah, we're missing that too. I was just talking to somebody about how I need to go get laid. I literally have not been with anybody since my ex. I haven't been with anybody in about 2 years. And I was just thinking about that the other day. I was like, wow, he's still the last person to have like had my body. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that thought. I was like, I need to go get laid. But I'm too aligned in my own energy to just go out and fuck anybody. You know what I mean? So I'm just here celibate. Fuck. I'm fucking dead. Oh my god, I gotta stop. Oh my god. All right. let's come back. We even got the fucking Ace of Wands in reverse down here. Oh my god. Oh my god, really? I haven't even kissed nobody, nothing since then. He was the last person I was with. Have not kissed nobody else. No romantic hugs or cuddles since then. I've been like hardcore just working on myself for like 2 fucking years. Oh my god. It's fucking great. I appreciate you. All right. So once we get into these cards, you're going to understand maybe just how relevant all of this sidebar conversation is to the reading. Oh. Yeah, right? Yeah, if it even fucking opens. probably like a virgin all over again. Are you kidding? Jesus. All right. That is so TMI. All right. So, Merlinite, you got your charms. Let's get into your cards. What is healing right now? This root chakra. All righty. Root chakra. Action. Movement, perseverance, discipline, and motivation. You can have all of the best energy in the world, but if you don't take action on it, then it never manifests, right? You got to be able to take action. If you're not taking the appropriate action, it's not going to come about. You know, people can say, well, we had this laugh the other day with Sag's reading when I was doing the Mercury retrograde energies, like what was coming up. And Sag's reading, it was like the person from the past was like, well, I'm manifesting Sag. Like, why haven't they reached out to me yet? Like, I'm manifesting them. Don't they know that I'm manifesting them? And it's like, bitch, you have to take action, though. You can't just sit there and intend to speak with someone. If you want to speak with someone, well, then you need to take action on it and reach out. Saggy is not answering to your calls, you know, to be manifested, you know, like you've got to take action. You've got to take action. You've got to make moves, right? You've got to be motivated. You've got to be disciplined in your action to keep things in certain order, right? When people go through changes and transitions and shifts and they change their actions, they have to be disciplined in their new pattern. Right? They might have to consciously override their old pattern for a while until their new pattern becomes second nature and the old one is diminished, you know? Like it took a while because I used to smoke weed a lot at night because I had bad insomnia. And when I quit that action, it took a while. It took a while for my body to adjust to the new behavior, right? Falling asleep without the sleep aid, you know? I had to consciously override the desire to want to smoke to go to bed because I knew if I smoked, I would just go to bed. And that's all I wanted to do was sleep. Just wanted to go to bed. But, you know, I'm awake. My mind is awake. My mind is racing, you know, and I had to take action and be disciplined and not crack and go get some weed. You know, I had to be disciplined and stop that behavior. So whatever it is that you want to do, right, or whatever it is you want to manifest, you're going to have to take the action for it, right? If this is your reading and you were drawn to Merlinite, you are the creator. Like Merlin was a fucking wizard, sorcerer, magician, whatever you want to call it. And that's a creator energy. The only way you're in creator energy is if you tune into your yang, right? If you tune into your masculine. So if you're feminine dominant, and life happens to you all the time, and you're one of those people, no matter how much you manipulate, no matter how much you try and control things, life is always happening to you and it's out of your control and you're constantly receiving things that you don't want to receive. You have to step into your masculine light. Why are you receiving things? Why are you experiencing things you don't want to receive? Why? You know, if you have a person in your reality who is, you know, taking you for granted, using you, ignoring you, ghosting you in some way, shape, or form, like what actions do you need to take to get out of that cycle? What actions do you need to take to get out of that cycle? You know, if I really wanted to get laid, I could. I turned down quite a few people at my job already. You know what I mean? Like, single woman started working in a shop filled with almost all men, right? The staff is predominantly male. It's a steel shop. And I've shot them all down. Like, I'm just not, most of them are addicts. Most of them fucking drink and do stupid shit. And I'm like, yeah, I can get laid, but it's not attractive to just be laid by anybody. Like, I'm a Cancer moon trine Scorpio Venus. Like, I've only ever given myself to boyfriends and shit, you know? I don't even know what it's like to have a one night stand. It's crazy to me. So yeah, like everybody If you want to take an action, if you want a certain reality, then you gotta be able to take action. You know, if it's something that I really wanted, I could go do it and I could take that action. I would have to take that action though. If it was a priority and it was important to me, you know, then I would have to take action on it. And so that is the message. You know, if you have something that is a priority to you, then you need to take action on it. It's your priority. If you want to feel better about your life, well, then you have to make that a priority and take actions in alignment with it. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I'm with me right now. If I'm going to be with someone, it's because they're close to me. The only person closest to me is my son. You know, that's who's the most important to me. That's my priority. That's where I take my actions. You know, I think you have to decide if this is your healing energy, right? What is it that you want to create? What is it you want to create? Because you're going to have to persevere through it. You're going to have to discipline yourself to do it and not freak out or let your shadow get the best of you. You know, discipline yourself to go after it and keep it every day. You know, an example would be like if you're out of shape and you want to get a nice hot body or something, you know, you have to be disciplined to go to the gym. You have to take the action to go. And if you can't go to the gym for whatever reason, you have to be disciplined enough to continue doing it at home so that you don't fall out of your manifestation, right? Out of the alignment with it. So you don't fall so far out of your routine that you can't get back into it, right? You need to work at it however many days every day, right? So you have to work it every day. If you want a healthy relationship with someone, then you have to work on yourself and your relationship consistently every day. You have to take actions to work on it. You have to be disciplined and motivated to persevere through the process, because life is just a series of processes, you know? The major arcana, we've got double Aries, double Mars. We've got the Emperor and the Tower. So we are definitely working on masculine energy here. This is about being humble, right? Being humble and sometimes having to let things go or destroy it from the ground up, like completely, you know, raising it completely. RAZE, right? Having to literally level it. Sometimes you have to. Like when I was in the mirror with my counterpart, right? My quote unquote counterpart, we were having problems. And he said to me, he's like, don't think that I won't level it to the ground if I have to. If I have to level it to the ground, I'll start all over if I have to. And in that moment, when he said that, he didn't realize what the fuck he was saying, because he's not privy to the mirror like I am. He didn't even, and I've tried to talk to him about it. I've tried to explain it. He was not registering. I know that he's my mirror and a facet of myself. So when he sat there and said, I'll level it if I have to. If I have to burn it all down to start it over, then I will. And the minute he said that, that facet of me in the outer that was having that conversation with myself, I knew that's what I had to do. That I would have to burn it all to the ground. I would have to burn it all to the ground to where there was nothing left in order to start over. I had to take that action. It was not healing otherwise. He was not healing. He was not learning. He was not open. He was not receptive. I knew in the mirror I had to burn it all to the ground. He had no idea. And literally within a couple months, that's exactly what ended up happening. I said enough is enough, and I literally burned it all to the ground. There's nothing left. Right? Torch and a Sledgehammer. If you're not familiar with the song Rihanna does, I think it was for Star Trek soundtrack, to be fair. But Rihanna did a song called Sledgehammer. And it's a great fucking song. It literally is about being at the lowest of low points to where you feel like you couldn't even go on anymore, and remembering your power, right? Remembering your power. I fucking love that song. There was a time in my healing where I was literally listening to that on repeat. I love that song. And you saying that just prompted me to remember that. Yeah, like, let's get to work. And it's the work on the self. Like, you got to remember who you are. You hit a wall, right? You hit a wall and realize that you have to start over. You can't continue. Yeah, you can't continue that way. You're a major Trekkie. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. So this is about getting into your yang, your emperor energy, remembering that you're the creator of your life. And if you have to take it all down to the ground, then you have to take it all down to the ground and start over. It's your Aries energy, your Mars energy, wherever Aries is in your chart, what house it rules, wherever Mars is in your chart and what that indicates for you. You know, you've got to be able to bring it all down to the ground. Like, if you've got Mars in the first house, you might literally have to reinvent yourself from the ground up. If you've got Mars in the 12th house, it's your fears and your belief systems. You might literally have to take your belief systems and level it to the ground. Take your fears and level it to the ground in order to move forward, right? If it's in your 10th house, it would be your career. You might literally have to burn down your career and start over from the ground up. If you're a business owner, you might literally be tearing your businesses down and rebuilding it from the ground up, right? Partnerships, Mars in the 7th house, you might literally have to burn it, right? Burn your partnerships and restart it from the ground up. You know, it really depends on your Aries energy, your Mars energy. They're not necessarily in the same house, right? But I feel like, you know, getting in touch with your masculine energy and knowing when you pop off. When you pop off, like, my Mars is in fucking Libra. If shit is not fucking fair, that's when I get pissed. Especially in the home, because it's my 4th house. I will get fucking pissed. If shit is not fair, it's not fucking fair, then I get pissed. Now I know. Now I know. If I'm getting pissed off, my feminine energy, right? 4th house is also divine feminine. It's the house ruled by the mother. The part of the self that nurtures the self. It is the 2nd house of self. The house of home. Yeah, my divine feminine energy, when my feelings are getting hurt and I'm not being nurtured and it's not fucking fair, I'm pissed. I'm pissed. And I've learned to embrace that telltale sign that something's not fucking fair. If I'm getting agitated, frustrated, pissed off, it's because something ain't fucking fair. That's how I know my Mars is in Libra. Something ain't fucking fair if I'm getting pissed. I might not know what it is. I might not know what's not fair. I might have to reflect on that. But if I'm getting fucking irritated, yeah, something ain't fucking fair. You know, Mars in Scorpio, if you're getting fucking jealous, if you're getting triggered, right? Your insecurities are being triggered and you're fucking jealous, or you're feeling like you need to spy, or you're plotting the death of somebody in your head, whether you would or wouldn't is irrelevant, but you're plotting like how you would commit a crime, you know, then that's your telltale sign, like something is in misalignment. Something is in misalignment. You're not choosing to do something you need to do, and that's probably leveling whatever it is that you're dealing with. You got to burn it from the ground up, right? Metaphorically speaking. If you're in a partnership that is triggering your insecurities and you're getting wildly jealous and you're plotting the death of their best friend because you're pretty sure she's cheating on you with them, well, that's your telltale sign. You probably need to burn that relationship to the ground and stop being with that person. Chances are they, you know, if they're triggering your insecurities, if you're getting wildly jealous, if you feel like they're cheating and you're plotting the death of someone, you should probably let that person go. They're not healthy for you, right? If you've got Mars in Aries and you're popping off and getting really hot-headed. If you're dealing with sexual frustrations or intimacy issues, Aries is also the sign of the self. So you may have to take a serious look at yourself, because your anger being pushed at the outer is probably a serious reflection of your inner state, where you are literally at war with your own self, and your mind, right, or your ego is empowered over your feminine energy, because Aries is dominant, or rather Mars is dignified in Aries, right? It's most powerful there. So, you know, the sense of control and leadership, if you feel like you're out of control or you feel like you're losing your mind, you probably need to take a serious good look at your own self and where you're at war with yourself. You know, capital S, self, spirit, higher self. Why are you fighting your higher self? That you're getting angry at other people or frustrated at other people, or, you know, being too deep into your impulses to where you're not seeing the ramifications of your actions and how that affects your partnerships, right? Which is the opposite sign of Libra, you know, taking these things into account. Yeah. So Mars, understand where your Mars is in your chart. If you were drawn to this message, understand where your Aries is, right? What house Aries rules for you in regards to this message, because it's dominant. You've got to get into your masculine energy. Action, yang. Emperor, masculine, yang. Mars, Aries, masculine, yang. You know, those are the first three cards that came out. And the fucking guidance, we will get there, is bring it into form, which means taking actions, right? Steps forward. Yang. So, really, we got double aces too, like yang. Aries is first house. It's yang. It's initiation. It's action. Where you're at right now, the environment, we got the desert. The desert is the situation that you're in. So with the desert being your outer experience, it is a loveless environment. There's no love here. The desert is selfish. It takes over everything, and there is no love there. It's uncomfortable. It deals with extremes, right? Things are either really hot when they're hot, or they're really cold and fucking freezing when it's cold. There's no middle ground. Yeah, deserts can be beautiful, but they're barren, and they are extreme, and they are lacking water, and water metaphorically is the element that represents love. It's loveless here. There's no reprieve here. There's no shelter here. You know, you're either baking in the sun or freezing in the night, and it's not a suitable place to really thrive, right? There's no thriving. It's not. If you've been drawn to this message and you're dealing with the desert, then you have to understand that whoever you're dealing with right now in your reality, there's no actual love there. It is a matter of necessity, convenience, right? Relationships of convenience, relationships of condition. But your needs aren't even being met. You know, the desert, we have a really, the desert can kill you, you know, and it's not just hot deserts either. There's icy deserts, literally deserts of ice. They're fucking brutal, you know, being nourished in a desert and thriving in a desert. Deserts are the fastest place to go fucking die. You know, like if you want your environment to kill you, go hang out in a desert. Go get lost in a desert, because that's what the desert is. It represents being lost in the desert, that you have a way out. There is a guide or guardian in your experience, whether you acknowledge them or not, whether they are in your reality or not, you have a quote unquote mystic, right? Some type of healer energy, which is represented by the Sphinx, showing you the way out of the desert, raising your elevation so that you can see a little bit further, right? And you got to get away. It came out with the getaway car. These are the two energies that came out. You've got to get out of the desert. You got to choose it, right? Yang, masculine, yang. You've got to choose to get out of the desert. Choose to get unlost, unstuck, right? Choose to get back on a path. That's the only other thing about the desert. There's no paths. When we talk about walking our path, right? Our life path, our path and purpose. There's no paths in the desert. The winds and the sands, there's no paths. You might be able to see your footprints where you just walked for however long, and then they're gone in an hour. They're gone. What path? There is no path in the desert. That's why it represents a lost energy, right? I'll read it to you. The desert is an environment so bleak that none can survive it without aid. For those who find that aid, the journey across the wastes can be led to great things. If misaligned, it implies the subject cannot rely on the help of others and will assuredly be lost. The Sphinx on the card can refer to a mystic or a doctor bringing salvation in times of illness. You can't get out without help. You have to be willing to accept the help of other people. This is extremely difficult for some people, especially Aryan energy, who wants to do it all themselves, who has things under control, right? Aryan energy has it all under control in their shadow. They're the leader. They choose. They have it under control. God help you if you've got Mars retrograde in Aries. I've known a few. It's fucking difficult. You don't know when to ask for help. You don't know when to stop and say, I need help. I've gotten myself lost. I need direction. I need direction. That's why Libra is the opposite of Aries. Libra is about harmonious connections, the balancing of the scales. When you have gone so far off your path that there is literally no path that you're following, you're just lost in a loveless situation, a bleak situation where you need fucking help to get out of it. That's why Libra is the counter to Aries. And if you're integrating like Aries, Libra energy, you have those oppositions in your chart. You have major placements, right, in those two houses. That's what you're working on. Knowing when to take the lead and knowing when to ask for help and knowing who to ask. Knowing who to ask, because you can ask the wrong person. They could have great intentions and give you horrible advice. You got to know who to ask. The Sphinx is a mystic, right? A healer, a doctor, a healer. That's who you ask for help. That's who you ask for guidance. You're not going to go ask a wounded person who's also lost in the desert how to get out of it. Right? That seems so fucking silly. Why would you ask someone who's also wounded and lost? Got the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. Those are the two first cards out. So there's no passion, no creative spark, no foundation. No, the Ace of Pentacles in reverse is no foundation, right? It's like trying to build on sand with no foundation. trying to build a castle out of sand. It's not permanent. I think that's what someone has tried to do. I think they tried to build a castle out of sand. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you know, people can ask 100 people for advice, and if they're all wounded, you can't take any of the advice. You can ask 100 people, and they could all give you their best advice with the best intentions, and it's going to be the worst advice for you. Sometimes you've got to be able to trust your own dang self. Sometimes you got to be able to trust your own dang self. And realize that every single person you're asking, that their advice is not actually resonating with you as fuck yeah, that's it, right? Fuck yeah in the soul. Everything is telling you that's the truth, right? Everything is right. Because if you're getting all this advice and something is still questioning, there's still a question mark there, then it's not accurate for you. It's not in alignment for you. There's something missed, and it's because there's wounding involved. Right? Sometimes you have to, hear the peanut gallery, all 100 of their fucking opinions, and still trust your fucking self. Because you could be in a toxic relationship and everybody could be telling you to work it out, 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 work it out. Do this to work it out, do that to work it out, do this to fix it, do that to fix it. And really, you just might need to fucking leave it. But nobody's giving you that advice. Oh, don't leave it. Y'all have been together for so long. Y'all have kids together. Y'all have a home together. Y'all have this together. It'll be too much trouble to let it go. You should try and work it out. But your own damn self is saying you need to fucking leave this shit. Right? There's no solid foundation here. There's no passion here. This is a sexless relationship if it's a relationship. If it's a job, it's an absolutely creatively stunted work environment where you're not being creative or feeling at purpose at all. It's not in alignment. There's no joy there. There's no incentive to keep doing it there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Honestly, the people who give the best advice are the ones that don't. The people who give the quote unquote best advice are the ones that ask you the right questions and help you come to the right conclusion on your own. Those are the best people. The ones that ask you the right questions so that you can come to your own conclusion about what you need to do. Everybody else is going to tell you what they think and tell you what to do to fix it. When really, masculine energy in its light is about coming to their own solution. Right? We started this talking about being solution oriented. Right? Where there's a will, there's a way. What are you willing and not willing to do? I was willing to stay with my ex. I was willing to go to counseling. I was willing to make it work. I was willing to help heal it, but he wasn't, though. Okay, so if that solution is not on the table anymore, what other solutions do I have? None. The only other solution I have left is to leave. That's the only way to get out of this toxic situation, right? So you can find different solutions, present it to the outer experience, and either the outer experience is going to grow and flow with you, or they're not. And it's fine either way. You just have to make your own highest aligned choice, right? What's best for you, given how... Shut up. I'm taking my glasses off. I can't read that. This might be duct tape and a ball gag. It might have been a solution, but it would have been temporary. I don't think you would have liked it very much. He needed to shut the fuck up, though, to be fair. He really did need to just shut the fuck up. I digress. There's all kinds of solutions. Some are worth working out, and some just are not feasible. Okay. Some are not feasible. So figure out, what works for you. If one solution that you come to doesn't work because the outer experience is not receptive, then you try a different solution. Okay. Then you try a different solution. Keep being solution oriented. Okay, that solution didn't work. Let me try this one. Okay, that solution didn't work. Let me try this one. Be solution oriented. Try what comes up. And then if nothing else works, there is always one other option, and that is to leave it behind. Right? They don't ever take me anywhere. Dark spirit guides me through these readings. Are you kidding? There ain't nothing dark about sex and some BDSM. If you're into that shit, it can be healthy if that's where you're at. But, some people aren't into it. Some people aren't into it. Anyway, the clarifying energies for these two aces. We have the Wheel of Fortune with the King of Cups. The 5 of Cups with the 3 of Cups, and the Hierophant with the King of Swords in reverse. And honestly, if you are in a position where you're feeling loss or grief or sadness, right, with the 5 of Cups, with a third party energy, right? Then you really have to look at that third party energy and ask yourself, how much of a distraction is it, right? If you're feeling sad, or you're feeling regret, or you're feeling longing for something that really is no longer showing you its value, can you accept that what value it held was for a reason and a season, and was never meant to actually be permanent, instead of trying to latch onto it or cling to something that is no longer there? Relationships can be beautiful for a time, and then we find ourselves in a predicament where the beauty of the beginning is literally not retrievable. Like even with my exes, like there were good points in the relationship. There were happy moments in the relationship where we felt connected to each other. But at some point, there was no potential growth left, right? Someone plateaued and the other was still growing in a certain direction. And so you kind of have to recognize when something has reached its potential, and that you're meant to take whatever you're meant to take from it and move on, right? Start over, start fresh elsewhere, right? That you can move forward. Because the 5 of Cups with the 3 of Cups, you might be too focused on a value that used to be there, instead of the value being presented to you in the now moment, right? When we get too focused on the past energy that was beautiful, and we stop looking at the potential for that beautiful energy in the future, we're trying to get back what is already gone instead of welcoming in what is coming. I think you really have to allow yourself to embrace the turn of the wheel into that King of Cups energy, that vulnerable, real with yourself, recognizing what you're feeling energy, and choosing accordingly, right? Choosing accordingly. Acknowledge how you're feeling, being real with yourself, right? Being vulnerable with yourself enough to not bury the feelings, but to sit with them for a minute and acknowledge that they exist, and why, right? And why. If you're dealing with the Hierophant, which is the major arcana for Chiron, there's a belief system with a perspective. There's a belief system in play with a perspective that is no longer serving. The King of Swords in the reverse can be very controlling or manipulative. They are a gaslighter. They are someone who twists and turns and lies and fabricates to the point that they believe their own lies, right? Someone who lies so much that they believe their own lies. So dead set on something that they're thinking about in their egoic mind, so cold to their own feelings that they're literally martyring themselves into the ground for what? You know, if we're talking about a belief system, right, because the Hierophant, Chiron, is a belief system that we heal through. And if we don't change our belief system, we're doomed to go through the same martyring, the same healing process, the same sacrifice over and over and over and over again. At some point, you have to realize or accept that maybe what you believe needs to change. Maybe that belief system served you for a time, but it is not serving you anymore. You know, maybe manipulating things and manipulating people got you certain experiences that you wanted for a time. Maybe it did. Maybe you got a great job. Maybe you got a great position, right? Maybe you were promoted because you were cold and calculating and saying all the right things, being Mr. Charming, right? Whatever, gaslighting people. Maybe it benefited you for a time. Maybe it doesn't benefit you in your relationships, though. Maybe applying that same mentality or that same belief system to your relationships is costing you good relationships, right? It's costing you good people who don't deserve to be gaslit, who deserve to be met side by side with you as an equal, right? They deserve some kind of control and power in the dynamic as shared with you instead of, you know, all control on one partner. You know, there's a belief system that needs to be reevaluated. You might need to let your emotions in, right? Because the Wheel of Fortune is with the King of Cups. The sacrificial lesson, the martyr lesson, comes from the inability to evolve your perspective, right? To see the higher perspective. If you were the universe who loves you unconditionally and you were dealing with wounds that needed to heal, what would the universe throw in your mirror to help you see yourself, to help you heal? That's karma, right? If you're a sociopath, right, dealing with wounds, and you're losing good relationships with good people, and, you know, hurt people, you're hurting other people. Well, if the universe loved you unconditionally and wanted you to heal and wanted to help you see yourself from a higher perspective, what would it do? I would probably throw you a sociopath. And you would probably end up in a situation where you're on your high horse thinking you can manipulate anything, create anything, do anything, charm your way into anything. And then all of a sudden, Spirit puts another sociopath in your path, and now you're stuck in a locked cycle with someone that you don't understand is doing to you what you were doing to other people. And you're being fucking played. You're being used and taken for granted. Right? Giving your all, giving your best. To what? A sociopath. You know what I mean? Like, karma's a bitch. Karma's a bitch. Like we were talking about it earlier when I was talking about my light twin and my shadow twin, right? How we have two. My quote unquote counterpart that was my shadow twin is narcissistic, heavy narcissistic, right? Sociopathic. And when I was with my light twin, I didn't realize, because being with my dark twin was fucking excessive. That was on another fucking level. It came back at me tenfold. But I had to see, because I started researching narcissism, right? I started to see how I didn't even realize when I was with my light twin and I was, you know, my shadows were coming out. I didn't even realize that I was narcissistic or controlling, right? I didn't realize, you know, certain behavior patterns that I was taught from my parents, you know what I mean? How they were coming up in my relationships. And I was like, oh my God, you know what I mean? And I had to own the fact that I was showing narcissistic behavioral patterns, even though I don't consider myself a narcissist. You know, I was definitely showing narcissistic behavior to the point that I literally met up with my ex, my light twin, just to apologize to him. And got specific, like, I'm apologizing for this. I'm apologizing for that. You did not deserve this. You did not deserve that. And I owned up all my shit. I owned it all. Even though I knew there was no future with me and him, I was not attempting to get back with him or reconcile, but he was owed the apology. It was not his fault, and I didn't want to bleed all over him. I didn't realize how wounded I was at the time. I was spiritually ignorant. I was not self-aware. And when I became self-aware, that was one of the first things I did. I had to make right on that. I didn't want to leave him wounded. I didn't want him feeling like it was his fault. I didn't want him feeling like he wasn't good enough or deserving, that it was all him and he fucked it up. No. Literally sat with him for like an hour and a half and talked to him. Like, you got to be able to do that. You've got to be able to see yourself. You've got to be able to heal. Like, how could I heal and not apologize to a man that I hurt and didn't realize what I was doing in my own fucking ignorance? Because my mother was a fucking narcissist. My mother was BPD. It took me being with my dark twin in order for me to see that. It's like, holy shit. I had to catch it. Tell myself I don't never want to be like that. Which means I got to learn how to speak up. I got to learn how to hold my own. I got to learn how to be in my truth. I got to learn. You're in the same position if this is your spread, right? Merlinite. Same position. You got to look at your light and you got to look at your dark. You got to look at the relationships you've had with people who were light and your relationships with people who were dark. And figure out what parts of you you want to keep that serve you well and what parts of you no longer serve you. Because if you're in this snowy cloud energy where you feel unloved, and so you're throwing that unloved energy at other people to make them feel unloved because you feel unloved, like, that's toxic. You're in a loveless place. No love is being received and no love is being given. It's a loveless place. You got to get out of there as fast as you can. If you have no other solutions, you need to connect with someone who can help you out. Get real with yourself and how you're feeling. Get real with yourself and how you're feeling. Don't ignore how you feel. Don't suffer. Like, stop that. Do you or do you not deserve to be loved? The person you're with is having a hard time loving you. Don't they deserve to be loved too? Don't they deserve to be with someone loving? Haven't y'all been through enough pain in your life? Like, why are you still hurting each other? Have y'all not been through enough pain? Maybe you can just accept that you're not compatible where you are right now and that there's healing that needs to take place. And sometimes you got to level it to the ground. Sometimes you got to burn it to the ground. And it's the best thing you could do for it. So bring it into form is the guidance card. Card number 41. Mm-hmm. And it's good that you can recognize that, to be fair. It's good that you can recognize that. When we can see who we used to be and realize that we've come a distance since then, right? That it's not who we are anymore. We can actually recognize it. It's a good thing. And to be reminded of it is also a good thing, because if we ignore it or forget about it for too long, it becomes background. And then we manifest a lovely reminder. So if we can just remember and keep up on our healings, it's like certain professions, they make you get like recertified every so often so that you don't lose that freshness of knowledge. It's the same thing. Certain readings will remind you of who you used to be and that you are no longer there. yeah, I'm still working on boundaries too. I'm getting a lot better at it, like a lot. But yeah, working on it too. Okay. Yeah, right now I actually really do like somebody. Like I actually really like them. Our energies, I already know, like are really suited for each other. But he does drink and he does, you know, use whatever he uses, and you know, he's a great person. Like we have a lot of great energy connection, and I already know that. The chemistry would probably be off the fucking chain. Because I know his chart. But yeah, that's my one hard line. And a part of me wants to cross it, and I'm not letting myself cross it. I know better, you know, and that's the test I'm working through right now. You know, my boundary is my boundary, and it's unfortunate, you know, that he's on the other side of that line. But yeah, and unless he were to make the choice to actually cross it and come be with me on my side of that and commit to it, right, that he wouldn't fall back on the other side, and then there's really no future for it. You know, it is what it is. So I guess we'll time tells, we'll see. So bring it into form. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's always next life. I'm probably not reincarnating again, to be fair. I know I'm not going to have to. If I come back, it's because I chose to, not because I have to. All right. That I already know. So bring it into form, right? Beautiful dreamer. You can imagine wonderful worlds of light. You can dream up so many possibilities. Now it is time to bring those possibilities of light into the world. They need to be more than ideas. They need to be more than ideas. They need to live, to manifest. The world needs not only your dreams, beautiful as they are, but also your creations. Get to work, beautiful dreamer. Don't just dream, create. Don't just dream about it, right? Create it. Act on it. You are being asked to honor yourself with a commitment to complete your inspired tasks. This will help you to grow, and that is a wonderful reason to commit. But there is another reason too. You know that your inspired ideas are worth translating into practical form so that other people can access them and experience something special too. There is sacrifice inherent in translating the perfection of an idea into the limited physical form. Although something may be lost when turning a multidimensional concept of endless potential into something concrete, this oracle guides you to realize that there is much more to be gained. You must become free of this inspiration so that you can receive your next inspiration. It is already waiting for you. So on you must go. Yeah, you've got to be able to take leaps of faith on things. You know, like as an example, because it was talking about sacrifice, and people think of sacrifice as giving up something that we love for something else. That's not the case. That's not what sacrifice is. Sacrifice could be as simple as giving up your old version to become a better version. Right? You have to choose that action. Like my old version was not straight edge. My old version drank. My old version was a big fucking pothead. My old version was a pack-a-day smoker. I had to sacrifice that version in order to have a healthy relationship with my son and embrace that version, that creation. I wanted to create a beautiful, healthy, respectful relationship with my son. That meant giving up the things that I was using to escape. I had to sacrifice my old self. Like the person in my reality right now that I'm seriously cheering for, you know, hoping that he would cross that line and join me on this side. He would have to sacrifice his old version, right? That drinks and whatever, right? He would have to literally outgrow that version and welcome in a version where he receives the kind of love I give. live that life. Right, if that's what he wanted. But he would have to sacrifice the old version in order to receive the new version, right? And that includes partners that I haven't necessarily met yet, because it might not be him. Like, he's the one I'm cheering for right now. But, you know, anybody that is meant to be with me is going to have to give up that version to be the new version. Even if I haven't met them yet, at some point, they're going to have to choose straight edge. They're going to have to choose sobriety and commit to that, because I can't commit to them otherwise. Right? Exactly. Exactly. It's a gift offering. It's a much better way to put it. Yeah. I know the light that I'm capable of. I know the kind of beautiful partner that I can be. I got to experience the most beautiful version of myself when I was with my shadow counterpart. I know what I'm capable of. And I know what it's worth. And it's worth more than anything that's not that. You know? So, otherwise, I'm very content. Like, very content being on my own. Very content, very stable on my own. I don't actually need a partner in my life. I feel happy and whole within myself. Like, I don't feel lonely. You know what I mean? I don't long for someone. Like, I'm very full. I'm very full in my own life. You know, that's why, like, I'll root for people, but I ain't about to sacrifice my peace and my happiness for people, because, you know, I want something that I can't create my own dang self. You know? So, like I said, people can meet you on your highest level with you, or they can be inspired to reach it eventually as you move on. You know, like, bring it into form. If this was the message, this is spirit telling you to take action on your best self. Whatever you got to let go of to be able to welcome in what you want to receive, like, do that. It's worth it. Like, there is no amount of weed that I could have smoked that would have been worth me having the healthy relationship I have with my son right now. I fucking love and value my relationship with my son more than anything else. There is no amount of weed that would have been worth this relationship. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a gift to yourself. That's exactly what quote unquote sacrifice is. It's a gift to the self. It's a gift to the self. You're letting go of something in order to receive something else. And that is the most beautiful thing. Right? That is the most beautiful thing. That is being real with yourself and how you feel and what you want to feel, and letting go of what is not in alignment with that. Right? And getting out of your own way. So, with that closes reading number 3. What I'm going to do is we're going to take 5. Okay. Yeah, we're going to take, it probably won't be a full 5 minutes for me. But I'm going to take a few minutes to be human, you know, and, then we'll be back and I'll start the Q&A. Okay. Yeah. I'll start the Q&A, the personal reads at the end. So, if you guys have questions during the 5-minute breaks, you can write the questions in the comments now. I'll go in order. Anybody who does super chats, those questions will be prioritized. I will go as long as I'm guided to go. Okay. So you guys can put your questions in the live chat. Okay. The live chat comments. And when I come back, I'll start answering them for you. Okay. So if you guys have personal questions, you can start asking. All right. Be back in 5. You're allowed. Anybody can hog the chat, to be completely fucking fair. I just look at it like it's all synchronistic with the part of the readings. Like everything happens for a reason. You know what I mean? There's no there's no mistakes. The divine is brilliant. There's no mistakes. So I appreciate your presence. I do. While everybody is catching up, I'm going to start putting all of the cards back. Clear some energy for the personal questions. If anybody has them, I mean, I love silly. I'm a Sagittarian. I can't help it. Yeah, if anybody has a question, put it in the comments. If not, then we'll just wrap it up. I mean, we could do that too. We could just wrap it up. That's perfectly fine as well. Definitely love and appreciate everybody who was present, right? And Numa Pinto, thank you for your presence. Volumes of questions. I mean, don't we all, though? Don't we all? You know, I think it's interesting because, you know, when I first started this channel, a lot of people had personal questions about relationships and things like that. And, you know, when you start to take the importance off of what's in the outer experience and really just kind of focus on where you're at with it and your own feelings, right? What you're receiving from the experience, and start to look at it differently, you find different kinds of answers, right? Because there's a difference between asking, well, is me and this person meant to be together, versus, well, how do you feel about that person? What feelings does being around this person bring up? Right? When you're around them, do you feel good? When you're around them, do you feel respected? When you're around them, do you feel seen? When you're around them, do you feel heard? When you're around them, do you feel considered? When you're around them, do you feel loved? Or when you're around them, do you feel anxious? When you're around them, do you feel worried that you're not good enough? When you're around them, do you feel insecure? Right? Like, what do you feel when you're around them? Because are you meant to be with this person? That's not the question. The question is, what do you need to heal? Because if you're healing and find yourself in a healed place, you wouldn't even ask that question. You would know better than to ask a question like that. Because that question doesn't actually hold a real answer. When we do the healing part, we already know that answer. I'm so glad. I am. I'm so glad. I love that. You had me fucking dying. Some parts of this read had me fucking dying. Oh my God. I try and I do my best to just be as real as possible on here. Like, I don't know how to be anybody other than myself. So when someone brings out that part of me, I just think it's thanks. Thanks. I really do. I love being present, and it's more than just a message sometimes. It's just being my fucking self. So that was cool. I love when people get in the chat. They don't do it always. Like, people have said to me that they don't like to interrupt me and stuff. And I'm like, but you're not interrupting. Like, you're just a part of the message. Like, you're not interrupting. You're part of my soul too, you know? Like, Let your part of the soul be present. Yeah, I appreciate it a whole lot. I mean, people chime in sometimes and I don't feel guided to respond, you know what I mean? To be completely fair, sometimes people chime in the comments and I'm like constantly receiving downloads from spirit and messages from spirit. So like if spirit will give me that vibe, like, nope, don't respond, don't entertain it, I won't, you know, I won't. See, I don't view it as a dark side. I think it's sexual creativity. It's not dark. I mean, some people it might stem from wounding that they're attracted to that shit. I know when I started healing through certain things that used to turn me on before didn't turn me on anymore. You know, that's the truth. When I started going through my healing process, certain things that used to turn me on, just the idea of it did not turn me on anymore, you know? So, I mean, there's a certain amount of trauma that goes along with certain interests and certain things that start to dissipate as we heal, and we're not drawn to it in the same way that we once were. But yeah. It's just all creativity as far as I'm concerned. Like each sign hold its own creative light. You know, some people are very vanilla and that makes them super happy and comfortable being in vanilla. Other people like a little more adventure, right? Some people have a thing for sex and in places that they probably shouldn't, right? More exhibitionist style type energy. Other people are into stuff like being tied up. And to be fair, like the art of not tying is fucking gorgeous. If you have ever actually seen, like, I forget what it's called. Ugh. What is it called? I think it's a Japanese word, shibari. Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous work. It's gorgeous work. You know, it's sexual creativity. So, you know, like I said, I've got a fuck ton of Scorpio in my chart. Like my chart, I've got a bundle. Given my moon is a little outside of that bundle, but everything in my chart is wedged within the same 120 degrees, all my majors. It starts with my Mars in Libra, 22 degrees Mars Libra, and then everything is in between that and my Jupiter in Aquarius at 12 degrees Aqua. That's a bundle. Everything I have is pretty much in Sagittarius and Scorpio. Yeah, my 5th and my 6th house are fucking loaded. Yeah, I would love to learn how to do that kind of stuff. I don't know if I would ever have anybody that would let me apply it. But if they want to learn, I mean, I would. My Mars in Libra is a pleaser, okay? Sexual, like Mars energy. Like if we all want to talk about Mars, people have like sexual preferences. Like Mars in Libra aims to please. Like I'm not pleased and I am not experiencing pleasure if my partner is not actively in a state of feeling pleasure. Right? Like I'm not selfish. You know what I mean? Like Mars and Aries is the complete fucking opposite. They might not give two fucks if their partner gets off. They like that crazy, heavy, animal, primal, whatever. And they're in the fucking heat of the moment doing what they're doing. But like Mars and Libra, oh, it does it. Whatever my partner wants, whatever they want. If they want vanilla, they got vanilla. If they want to get a little frisky and crazy, I can get a little frisky and crazy. Right? Whatever floats their boat. I hold no judgment when it comes to that stuff. And it's Mars and Libra, right? I do not judge. So you'll learn a lot about somebody from their Mars placement and where it's at. You really will. It's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah, and it's in my 4th house of home, like nurturing, consideration, you know, the whole bit. Like whatever makes them happy. Whatever makes them happy, whatever they want. Amen. That's what turns me on. You're turned on, I'm turned on. Great. That works. Oh my God. Fucking Mars. All right. It's in Sag right now, so, you know, go figure. We're out here having sex talks and shit. Eighth house too. Like if you've got Uranus in the eighth house, you're into some dark, kinky shit. Eighth house Uranus, you're into some dark, kinky shit. God help you if it's also ruled by Scorpio. Yeah. You can tell a lot about a person with their chart. A lot. A lot. Charts are super fucking telling. It's fucking wild. Okay. Let's get these. Yeah. All right. I've got everything cleared out now. Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad, Lala. I'm glad you can actually listen while you're at work. You and me both. But yeah, I do. I actually have a chart reading that I'm going to be doing over the weekend. Someone booked one of my 3-year transits with me, so I'm going to be doing that, doing the back end research on that over the weekend. So yeah, I love astrology. Like I really do. And it's helped me so much. You know what I mean? It's helped me so much understanding my own self, understanding my challenges. Like the more that I really got into it, it helps me understand different people. Like that's the other thing. I will not get into a relationship with someone if I don't know what their chart is, because I have such detrimental Gemini placements in my 12th house. I literally cannot be in a romantic relationship with someone who has strong Gemini energy. Like I can be really close friends with them, and there will still have to be healthy lines and boundaries where I have to consciously choose to like rein my energy in, because I'm a Cancer rising, but I've got Lilith and Chiron conjunct in my 12th house. So Lilith, Chiron rising. But I've also got Eros on that degree. I've also got 𝘗𝘕𝘌 on that degree, like all on those degrees. So people who have placements in Gemini, especially around that place right in my chart, it triggers off this desire that I have to martyr and heal and abandon myself, and this Eros type magnetism, right? That I will completely lose sight of my 6th house, which is my Sag stellium, path and purpose. It's my light in there. And I will go into that dark 12th house shadow, where I just feel like my purpose is to love them. My purpose is to give. My purpose is to overflow. And it is extremely painful for me. 𝘗𝘕𝘌 is castration. That's the demasculation of the self. I lose sight of my yang and I'm living for someone else. So anybody who has like strong Gemini like that, I mean, given I can tell now because I feel that magnetism whenever I see them. I already know they got strong Gemini in their chart because I'm magnetically drawn to them when I see them. But yeah, I will not date anybody with that energy. I won't do it. I love that facet of myself. Like I think that facet of myself is beautiful, that ability to pour like that. But it's literally something that cannot be matched with someone else in my chart. Like Chiron and Sagittarius. All those people are like in their 70s and 80s. Chiron, Sag. Chiron or Lilith and Sag is still around. It pings up in my chart, but I'm aware of it with other people. Like I'm not one of those people that's super selfish, and I will notice when someone is abandoning their self and not being in their light. And I will not take advantage of that, because I know what that's like. I know what it's like to have my Lilith fucking blown up. I know what it's like to abandon myself and feel like I'm losing my passion and purpose and where my creative potential is. I would never put anybody I love through that. So if I feel like my partner is sacrificing themselves for me in that way, they're abandoning their own light because they think I want or desire something. Like, you got to be your best self. I wouldn't want anybody that I love to sacrifice themselves for me, you know, like, oh yeah, I'm a daughter of Lilith for 100%. I know that. I know that 100%. I'm Lilith rising. I'm Lilith rising. Chiron and Lilith rising. I also have Pallas Athena on my ascendant, so I'm Pallas rising. Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't want anybody to abandon their best selves for me. I wouldn't want anybody martyring themselves for me. And I think that's why it was so important for me to heal. That was so important for me to heal myself, because if I wasn't healed, then I would be searching for that kind of energy. I would be seeking out shadows to match my shadows. And I don't actually want my shadows on a fucking rampage, you know, hurting other people, like my hurting other people, like hurt people. Like, no, I'd rather heal it, know and recognize what their shadows are, and not allow them to hurt themselves, right? Because we were taught that our wounds are there for a reason. We were taught that it's okay to be hurt and to continue hurting. So as a partner, if someone were to be with me, like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to let you hurt yourself. I'm going to stay in my own light and do what feels good for me and be honest and real with you. And you're going to have to be honest and real with yourself back and do whatever you need to do, you know, like, I got to be in my light. If you know what time you were born, and you know, obviously, where you were born, so day, time, and location, right? Date, time, location. My email is in the description of the videos. If you shoot me an email with your birth information, I tell people all the time, I'll plug it into my Astro Gold app, because it has those kinds of details. I'll take a picture and send it to you. But you can also do like cafe astrology, and you can do Astro Dienst, I believe is how it's pronounced. I don't know how it's pronounced. I believe it's German. Astro Dienst. And you can get your birth chart for free on those type of sites. Just make sure you do true Lilith and not mean Lilith. Mean Lilith is the average of where she is, because she moves around quite a bit. But true Lilith is where she actually was when you were born. The mean is generally the average of where she was when you were born. My mean Lilith is Taurus, but my true Lilith is right conjunct on Chiron and Gemini. Astrograph. I'm not familiar with astrograph. I get along so well with Capricorns. My son's a Capricorn. It's my 7th house. My Amor asteroid is there. My Neptune is in Capricorn. It's in my 6th house. It didn't quite make it into my 7th house. Cap rules my 7th, but it was in my 6th house as my Neptune. And then I have a couple other really nice asteroids in Capricorn. So I tend to get along with them really, really well. That integration is easy for me. Yeah, Pluto in Virgo is rough. To be fair, so is Pluto in Libra. I mean, Pluto anywhere is not easy, right? But the big thing about Pluto in Virgo is changing the way that we were taught to do things, right? Virgo is everything has to be done the right way, right? This step, that step. Pluto in Virgo was taught, like, you know, you go to school, you get out of school, you get married, you have kids, the man goes and gets a job, the woman goes and takes care of the kids. Like, there is a way to do it the right way. And Pluto Virgo is about changing that. So every time you end up doing what you were taught the right way to do it, it's painful, right? It's painful. Pluto Virgo, you can't do things the way that you were taught was the right way to do it, or it is painful. That's why Pluto Libra was the big fucking divorce boom. Pluto Libra was the big divorce boom. And all the children that came out with Pluto and Libra, unless they had some really beneficial placements in their charts, like trines and beautiful things like that, like they were all getting divorced too. The children of the divorced parents got divorced, you know, and then we ended up with Pluto Scorpio, and they're all on drugs. They're all on drugs. Unless they were lucky like me and had a South Node conjunction with their fucking Pluto. In which case, you know, South Node was like the magic eraser. I just didn't have an addictive personality. Like I used to drink, but I was never addicted to it. And I used to smoke a lot, but every time I've ever quit, it was just cold turkey because I decided to, you know what I mean? And I don't have that addictive personality. It always scared the shit out of me, addictions, because my father was a bad addict. You know, my dad was heavy Scorpio and unhealed at that. My mother was a Scorpio moon. She was fucking wild. Yeah. All of my friends growing up, they either ended up in rehab or dead. All drugs. Rehab or dead. Some of them ended up born agains. No, I have no idea what that is. I've never heard of it. No, I've never heard of it. Grok? If that's even how it's pronounced. 𝘗𝘗𝘕𝘌𝘗𝘗𝘗𝘓. I have no idea. I have no idea what that is. But yeah, you know, I lost a lot of friends to overdoses and people that I had been in love with once that died of overdose, like took their own lives. And it's fucking rough, man. You know, when Pluto hit Scorpio, that's when AIDS came out. That's when AIDS became big. Sexually transmitted death. Literally, Scorpio rules the sex organs and death, and we got AIDS. Like, you know, Pluto Scorpio. Like I said, and all of that generation ended up on fucking drugs. It's fucking crazy. You know? It's fucking crazy. Pluto is empowerment through pain. It is the shadow that empowers the self into the light. And it's a slow growth process, but, you know, if you can rise to the challenges, like my generation right now, Pluto Scorpio generation, as Pluto starts to move through Aquarius, they're going to be going through Pluto squares. Everybody who was born with Pluto Libra just went through the Pluto square with Pluto in Capricorn. You know, when Pluto was in Sag in the early 2000s and stuff, like late 90s, I think it was like 95 into the 2000s, Pluto in Sag, all the Pluto Virgo generation was getting Pluto squares. It's not easy. It's not easy because the temptation to be in those shadows is so high. The only way to get through that and empower the self really through that is to be in the light of those signs, you know, and having Pluto, like what's coming up with the Pluto in Aquarius, we're dealing with fixed signs. So people in their shadow, if they haven't healed it yet, they're in their shadow and they haven't healed it yet. And Pluto moves into Aquarius. Those shadows challenging each other are going to be really, really difficult. Yeah, drinking water. I like that. Yeah, I'll have to look into that a little bit more and go a little deeper into it, to be fair. But yeah. Well, you know what? People going through this transit, right? Because I'm not actually going to be dealing with my Pluto square until it hits 6 degrees Aquarius. That will be the climactic exact, square. But if you're conscious aware of yourself, right? And I like to believe that I am, the light of Pluto in Scorpio is deep transformation, right? Deep transformation of ancestral wounds and inherited karma and legacy, right? Transforming the story that I was given, and being in the light of Aquarius, which is the knowledge of light, high energy, and low energy, right? Aquarius's symbol is the two parallel lines of high and low energy. And it's perspective. It's the final manifestation of the air signs. It's the high perspective, right? If I were spirit who loves me unconditionally, what would I do to teach me, right? So for me to excel through that transit, I would have to be willing to constantly reinvent, constantly transform in direct relation to the energetic waves that I'm putting out there, right? To consistently elevate, consistently transform, and come through stronger than I have before. The shadow would be fixed addictions, fixed sabotage, and detachment, right? Detachment from my emotional body, which would be extremely painful. If people that have like Pluto, Scorpio, or even the very last degrees of Libra, right? People who are literally in the throes of it right now, with Pluto exiting Capricorn at 29 degrees, if they have like those final degrees of Pluto in Libra, you do not want to start moving into this new transit, still taking squares from early degree Aqua, with what is potentially your progressed chart being in Scorpio, Pluto Scorpio. So yeah, you don't want to move into it with addictions. You don't want to move into it in unhealthy, unbalanced relationships. Yeah, the family line's a big deal. Like, not only do I have like all kinds of Pluto energy, like I have South Node and Pluto conjunct in Scorpio. I've got Juno, I've got Fortune, I've got White Moon, and I've got Venus all in Scorpio. And then I have Jupiter in my 8th house, which is naturally Scorpio ruled, but it's my Aquarian house. I have Scorpio or Jupiter in the 8th. So heavy Scorpio. heavy Scorpio in my chart. Yeah. Yeah. I hope y'all enjoyed this live. It's definitely been probably about as long as I thought it would be, to be completely fair. I'm going to look into that book. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but Stranger in a Strange Land. I'll look into that. To be fair, I think any book can be considered a little bit weird, because people are a little bit weird and they write it. Like, if I write a book, some people might think it's fucking brilliant. Other people might think it is fucking crazy. So they might think I'm totally fucking weird. Whatever. Whatever. But yeah, no, healing family lineage, ancestral karma. I mean, that's essentially what my entire fucking chart leans into. Jupiter in the 8th. Yeah. I've had to really look at the higher perspective when it comes to family and why I go through what I go through. And the same thing in the 5th house, because, 5th house is a creative house, and it's not just children, it's passion projects and potentially a work house. So when I'm not in alignment with passion projects or things that I enjoy doing, I deal with all kinds of things with sexual harassment, and it's really bad. My relationship with my son is not in alignment if I'm out of alignment with that house. So I know I trust my energy. I trust my alignment, because all of the shadows that would be taking place in my life do not exist right now. All of the things that pop up in the patterns when I'm out of alignment just don't exist right now. So I trust my alignment 100%. I feel it. Like, I feel it on an internal level. 5D is a choice. It's a state of energy, because we could be here in the quote unquote 3D, but 5D Gaia is that's a state within the self. Gaia itself is not going to shift. Like, if we're talking about the state of Gaia, Gaia is actually on another level. We view it from the level that we're at in the 3D. But yeah, she's changing because we're changing. And to be fair, I don't really talk global, worldwide, catastrophic, whatever, on my channel. I typically steer away from it. Not because I don't know it, but because that's not what I choose to focus on. But for those who catch this part of the message, when we start healing within the self, because it all starts from the self and ripples out, you know, especially because I was listening to 𝘗𝘗𝘕𝘌 the other day. She was doing an interview with somebody in her, you know, unpopular opinion of whatever. And for as much as she understands, I always felt like something was a little off, and it showed itself clear as day to me in her mirror when I was listening to her. Because she works on trying to get the masculine collective and the feminine collective, males and females, to have healthy relationships and better understand each other, which is what she's working on within her own self. She doesn't necessarily know how to get her masculine and feminine aspects to work together in a healthy way. That's something that she's working on within herself. That's why she's so focused in the outer on doing that. And she was talking about the world and the state of the world and how she gave up on humanity and that the door is closed and that, you know, the catastrophic events are going to transpire. And I'm like, that's so inaccurate, though. Because if you think about it, if the healing is taking place within the self and we've reached a threshold, right? Because we've all talked about or heard about the 144,000, right? And the threshold of whatever that humankind is attempting to reach in order to flip into the new earth, right? There are so many people on the earth, billions, right? And it's not possible for every single person lost in their shadow to magically just wake up and heal, right? Some people will never get the memo. So if the collective one soul of humanity has healed to a point that the threshold has been met, the outer experience is going to reflect the inner growth. So if the inner world of the soul, right, within the individual has destroyed the previous version, then what would reflect in the outer? Mass destruction of the previous old wounded version. Anybody in that old wounded version is going to simply be removed from the wavelength so that they can reincarnate via the people in creation on the new wavelength. Because death is an illusion. It's not real. People freaking out about all the death. It's like, no, the soul is purging out people who are incapable of actually evolving in their own energy and perspective this life. It is going to ramp up wild by 2026, 2027, when literally all this watery stuff, all this earth-based energy is going to flip into fire and air, and the air is just going to feed the fire. It's a soul purging. It's a soul purging. So whatever is transpiring in the world, like, don't fear it. You know, don't fear it. If death finds you or others, it's okay. It is not the end. It is not the end. I don't fear death. I don't. I don't even fear the death of the people that I love, because I know they're not gone. I mean, given I'm a medium, I could literally talk to them anyway, but I digress. They're not gone. Death is a transmutation, right? Scorpio energy, it's a transmutation. It's just going from one form into another. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only shift from one form into another. So the idea that death and someone is gone, well, that's an illusion. It's not real. What do you mean gone? No, their energy was transmuted. It changed into something else, right? So as we experience this really mass scale change over the course of the next few years, don't fear it. Don't be upset by it. Don't be stressed out over it. Whatever is meant to transpire is going to transpire. There is no right or wrong way to deal with it. There is no right or wrong way to deal with it. You just have to trust to do as you're guided, no matter what that is. Even if you were taught it's incorrect, even if you were taught you're going to hell for whatever, like, trust the divine. Trust the divine. Religion was not some divine creation of Gaia. Okay. Our wounds and people and their shadows that wanted to control and have power, like, all of that shit is not going to fucking matter. Their power and control is not going to fucking matter. What power? Over who? Over what? It's so silly, right? All of that misaligned shit it's going to start filtering out. It's going to start filtering out. It's going to look extreme. It's going to look crazy. The people around in the world are going to be panicking in their shadow, and that's fine. That's fine. It is what it is. There are literally shadow. I mean, if you think about that, the shadow, the demons within the self are freaking out, panicking, because the purge is here. The purge of the shadow is here. The fire and the air fanning the flames. What's fire? That's light. That's light. Light irritates the demons. So yeah, while people are all freaking out in the outer experience as the years progress through these transits, it's all right. It's fine. It's fine. The divine's not making any mistakes. It's reflecting what is going on. The inner reflects in the outer. And as the inner purges, as the demons are starting to be purged out of the self, it's going to reflect in the outer. I embrace the change, no matter what it looks like. No matter what it looks like. It's fine. We're going to be a better collective by the time it's all done. We're going to be a better collective by the time it's all done. So it will be temporary, and we will get through it, and we'll be better on the other side of it. So it is what it is. It is what it is. I may or may not be here through it. It's fine. I'm pretty sure I'm going to live to be around 111. So I ain't too worried about it. I know I'm going to outlive my son. I already know that. I'm going to outlive my son. That's fine. I wouldn't have it any other way, to be fair. So I hope you'll have a wonderful night. I will be back on probably as I'm guided in between. Tomorrow is my son's birthday. He's turning 17. So tomorrow is our day out. We're going to go celebrate his birthday. We're going to go out to dinner and have a day out. Yeah, it's going to be a day for me and my son all day. It's just going to be me and him doing whatever the fuck we want. So I will be with him tomorrow. And then on the 23rd and the 24th, I don't know, I might be doing readings as I'm guided. Thank you. I know, I can't wait. I always had me and like mommy Kevin days. Like it was just so important to me to have those days where it was like time was spent just focusing on him and what we were doing, you know. Even when he was a little kid, we always had our mommy Kevin day no matter what, and did whatever he wanted to do on mommy Kevin day. That was it. But yeah, I might be on as I'm guided on the 23rd or the 24th. So stay posted for that. Christmas, I don't know if I'll actually be on Christmas, to be fair. I might, because, you know, Spirit does what it wants. I'll definitely be on the 26th because we got the new moon in Sag. No. New moon? No, that's the full moon in Cancer. That is the full moon in Cancer. And it is the last moon of the year. So yeah. You know, it's crazy too. My son, and he's always been this way. He's old soul as hell. He's got a Sag stellium, and he's Capricorn sun, and he's got heavy aqua, and he's a Pisces North node. Puts it right on my midhaven too. Like my son, nothing and no one is coming in between me and my son. People have tried and have failed miserably. There is nothing I will not do. My son is my rock. He is my compass. He is my lighthouse. Like, he's first. Like, my son's priority. He's first. Everybody else can fuck off. They think they're going to take priority over my son. They don't fucking know. But, yeah, I will be live for the full moon and in Cancer on the 26th. And then I don't know, we'll just kind of go from there. Spirit guides me as it guides me. Like, I don't argue with Spirit. I just fucking listen. There's always someone who needs the message whenever they get it. So, you know, it's been having me hella present lately. Crazy present lately. So hopefully it just keeps me that way. I love this. I don't know if y'all have been watching me fucking spray myself throughout this live. It is fucking Yule, right? One day out of the year, it's Yule. And I got this really cool mist from Dreamer Apothecary. I fucking love Stephanie Nastasia. She runs Dreamer Apothecary. She's great. And that's her Yule mist. Oh my God. And it smells like pine and cleansing and Christmas. I fucking love it. You can find her links in my description. I literally link her in all of my videos because I just fucking love her and her work so much. So you guys have a wonderful night. It is officially fucking midnight. So I'm going to go catch some sleep if I can. And I'll see y'all again soon. Much love and support your way always. See everybody. Numa, and thank you, by the way, for all of your presence here. I really appreciated you tonight. So thank you. I'll see y'all next time.